Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm running late. I had to run out of the house today, and then I got back quickly, and I was recording for members. Blue Therapy, we're reviewing it for members tier 2 right now. So just trying to get that recorded for you over the weekend, some more episodes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being members. Thank you for being viewers. Thank you for liking the stream. And thank you for spending your Friday with me. All right. Just a reminder that Europe is having a heat wave. So warnings aren't in place. If you live here, please stay hydrated, get those electrolytes in. I walked outside with an umbrella today because I was not about to risk it. It was toasty. It was toasty. So if you guys are in the area, I'm sure the US is hot too, or any part of the world you might be in, but Europe, we're getting those warnings for heat waves. Okay, now, today I want to sort of have a pretty light, generally speaking, stream. We've been doing a lot of really heavy content lately. And I think that's why sometimes people are confused about the content that I make, because some days we'll be reviewing dating tips, 20 things to do on a date. And then we're like, yay. And then some days we're like, let's cover the horrible news in the world. And we're like, oh, and we whiplash so much. So, because it's been so heavy lately, I just want us to also, remind us that there's a lot of good things happening in the world, and a lot of groups of people are celebrating. A lot of people are having, a lot of amazing things are happening. So I want to start off with some good news, some kind of happy-ish TikToks. And then I want to slowly get into some more think pieces, but still pretty light today. Okay, light, but still important stuff. Okay. So let's start here. First of all, I know you guys have been talking for a while because I was later today. I'm going to assume there's nothing really, anything that I really need to answer. Though this comment here says, I was thinking about how it's cool Juneteenth and Pride Month intersect. Well, speaking of Juneteenth, one of the things that came across my feed on the internet I thought was pretty cool were just celebrations of Juneteenth. And I was like, oh, that's nice. I'm a sucker for watching people be happy, Here we go. Oh, hold on. Drew, thank you so much. Membership for 1 month says, thank you all for all that you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Drewby, cute. Thank you so much. So check this out. It says Juneteenth vibes in Harlem. That was cute. Like, I'm not a big fan of crowds, but you know what? This one looks nice. And then same thing with this one, Harlem on Juneteenth. This is cute. Cute, right? So just a reminder that people are out here, people are celebrating, people are having good times. And I don't know, I think that's nice. Okay, the next part of good news, happy stories that I want to cover to start us off today is art stories. So I've got a few art related stories that I thought were fun. This one was featured on Complex, and I thought to myself after I saw it, you know what? We don't do enough building things. We need to build some stuff. So he built a spaceship in his house for like funsies. And I was like, honestly though, I'm going to turn this down for copyright's probably going to get me. But I was like, this is, how your dad would build you if, a tree house, if you ever had a tree house growing up. My dad did build us a 2-story tree house with like French stairs and a window. My dad's an engineer, and it was really cute. And it's that kind of stuff that I think about when I see this. I was like, yeah, like building stuff is so fun. And we don't ever have the time or the materials. Like I saw a meme that was like, I don't have math autism. I have buy stuff and have hobbies that are too expensive for my paycheck autism. And I was like, that's my autism too. My autism is I want to buy stuff I can't afford to do hobbies I can't afford. And I'm just like, oh. That plus philosophy autism. But I just see stuff like this and I'm like, damn, I got to build something. You know what I mean? I gotta make something. But also, For Harriet came back and she made a new video And she said something that I have been trying to explain. And I'm so glad to hear another person say it, specifically another woman, and to say it in the way that she said it. But she took a big break from the internet and then wanted to read like a book a day and said, I have to be more well-read if I'm going to come here and make think pieces. But even more than that, she said we need to get back to like learning and knowing and mastering stuff. I have been talking about this for a couple years now, but I feel like people don't get what I'm saying. You're not just going to pick up something and be good at it day one. You need to do something and work at it and actually get better at it for years. I think the internet has made people believe you can make a fucking stupid ass TikTok, go viral, and that you're set for life. And so everyone has given themselves the lowest expectation of result that no wonder the stupidest people we know are famous, and no wonder the stupidest people we know are the ones running this fucking country. Because like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to be viral and a celebrity, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, you're good enough. And I'm like, we're the people who are mastering things. We're the people that are dedicating their life. We're the people. So look, for me, to be transparent, my mastery is not going to come in the form of content creation. I think it will be in part my mastery of thinking, so philosophy, but really it's what I'm doing behind the scenes. Like I already have my own art projects, my own skill that I want to be good at, that I want to do for 20 years, that I want to show that I've gotten better at, but also I'm doing it for me. So I'm not trying to turn it into what will be like the business. And this is why I say separate those things you do for money and separate the things you do for the love of the game. So both of those things can coincide. I'm really lucky that my job is the love of the game plus my hobby. Yes, but not all my hobbies need to be turned into work. Though I've run into that trap too. As a creative, I always think like, how can I make money out of this? And I'm like, no, Brittany, no. So I do something. And you know, I do art projects on my days off. You know, my living room is now, anyways, it's the whole thing. Anyways, the point is, it's nice. It's just me. It's for me. And in 20 years, if I want to turn around and make money off my skill, that's Brittany's business in the future. But for now, it's like, I just want this to be my thing. Now, my dad is one of those guys. He is a master of building. This man is like, he's so skilled, but he's so interested. Like on his days off, he builds, he makes things with his hands. He's very interested in like how things work and making things better. And he's always like, he's a perfectionist. And like watching my dad master stuff, like, yeah, watching my grandfather, watching my grandma, who was a professional seamstress, like watching these people master a craft, be so good with stuff, they can just do it in their head, or they can do it for the, like, you know, they do it. And it's just like, yeah, that's what I want. Like all the old people I know, you know, all the old people I know who spent 30 years working on something. And guys, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. I don't just mean someone who's been pretending to do it for 30 years. Because you meet those people too who talk a big game about the skill they have, but they don't. I would trust my dad with my life because I know he's going to build it to code and with perfection. I would not trust some guy with a hammer and nails who claims he knows how to build a house. You know what I'm saying? My dad would build you a very safe fucking house. Okay? He would build you something that he would risk his children's life on, and not for his own ego, because he knows it's good. And that's what I mean when I say like becoming a master of something. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. And that's what I love. You know what I mean? Right? Wait, Chet says, Brittany, do it. Please do it. And don't be discouraged. Woodworking is not hard or expensive. I don't want to do woodworking. I don't want to do woodworking, but I hear you. Like, I'm not discouraged. Like, to be fair, I do not want to do woodworking. Like, that's not what I want to do. I went through that phase of maybe I'll be a woodworker, but I'm not interested. I get bored. You're local. Thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate you. So yeah, like, think about those things. Like, think about the things you want to do. And remember, you can do 10 things. Remember, you can do 5 things. Just one of them has to be money. One of them can be a hobby. One of them can be for fun. One of them can be whatever you want. Do you know what I'm saying? But I love the idea of making something, you know, creating something. Britt the Carpenter, here she comes. Britt the Carpenter, can she fix it? Britt the Carpenter, yes, she can. Okay, next video.
The best thing to I just found the best thing to do on a Wednesday evening, and it's drawing naked people. Hi, I'm Sasha, and this is Mo, and we host figure drawing sessions every Wednesday in Soho. Mo provides the space in his classic artist's loft. I provide materials so you can come with your own or you can take from my stash. Together, we provide the snacks and the ambiance, which is something you probably really need on a Wednesday night. I know I do. So it's $20 for 2.5 hours of cool creative people, popcorn, materials, and a really cool space filled with artists of all levels. So whether you've tried this before or not, I promise whatever the outcome is, you will feel better in your soul after coming to our class.
Love this. Absolutely just like a fan. We often talk about outreach programs and things to do in third spaces and with your community. And, you know, so much of this activity existed so much in the kink scene for me. In the BDSM scene, people always threw events like this. Come to the dungeon. We're doing an art event. Somebody's going to model. We're all going to do art. Supplies are offered, or, you know, we take donations. Like, it's nice. Okay, next video.
Hide their process. Brandy Cole leaves. Some artists hide their process. Brandy Cole leaves it all hanging out in the threads. This self-portrait is made from thread, fabric, and what appears to be grit. Brandy Cole is a contemporary fiber artist whose work combines embroidery, fabric, tulle, lace, thread, and stitched drawing to create highly detailed portraits, often self-portraits, which begin to unravel the closer you look. From a distance, they read as paintings or drawings. Up close, they're an intricate network of layered textiles, loose threads, stitched marks, and translucent fabrics. Many of the portraits are life-sized or larger than life-sized and focus on the face and figure. Rather than hiding the construction of the work, Cole leaves seams, dangling threads, raw edges, and voids of completely empty space, and then overlaps all these layers. Areas of the portrait seem to emerge from the fabric while other sections fragment into individual strands and stitched lines. She deepens the color and value through transparent layers of fabric and dense accumulation of threads rather than traditional shading. The result is painterly, but it's not made out of paint. Highlights, shadows, and facial features appear fully modeled, but they're constructed from hundreds of separate textile elements. In the self-portraits especially, the figures often appear suspended somewhere between a finished image and the materials used to create it.
Oh, I hope you feel as inspired as I feel. I feel so alive when I see people really create. And they're not trying to sell you something. I think capitalism has just like rotted our brains because everyone is trying to literally sell you quote art. You know what I so get upset about is when I see a TikTok artist and I go, this is an AI art, isn't it? Or this is a fake art. The people who buy paintings or buy things on like Alibaba at 1,000 pieces and then sell it to you back. I get so frustrated, and it's because it actually does cost money and time and labor to be an artist. That's why when you turn art into a job, you have to be very careful because then you might make art that in the cheapest way possible to sell to the consumer rather than making art that like, you know what I'm saying? So find a balance. I think there's a balance here. I do. And then figure out that balance because yeah, like, you know, I am sick of seeing all these amazing paintings or things on TikTok only to do some more research to realize like, this isn't real. And did you guys know there's a new scam on TikTok and the scam is like, I'm a struggling artist scam. It's been around for years, but it's like, oh, my dad just lost his business or nobody wants to buy my dad's book or, oh, nobody wants to buy my mom's paintings. It's like a pity scam. And then people go, oh my God, let's get this on the New York Times bestseller list. And then it's not. There's no struggle. And again, you don't want the struggle to be your art. You want the art to be so skilled that the struggle is a part of the story. Because if you just struggle, like if the struggle is the art or if the struggle is the reason people are buying your paintings, then they're not buying it because you're a good artist. They're buying it because they feel bad for you. And it's like, ew. Like but that I think is a capitalistic scam. I think it's the capitalist brain that goes, oh, whatever it takes to sell, whatever it takes to make a sale. And I'm like, no. You know, anyways, okay. Other good news, Louisiana man, first in state to be functionally cured of sickle cell disease. 23-year-old. New Orleans man.
Louisiana just hit a medical milestone. A New Orleans man is now the first person in the state functionally cured of sickle cell disease through gene therapy. 23-year-old Daniel Cressy went through a 2-year treatment at Manning Family Children's Hospital, and doctors say the disease is no longer active in his system.
You know, God has given me another life, a new chapter.
Ooh, Habibi, I don't mean to be this girly, but it was the doctors, not God. But I hear you, and I'm happy for you.
I was able to experience a second birthday, something that most people will never experience.
What is gene therapy? Well, doctors say it uses a patient's own stem cells, which are edited in a lab so they stop making the defective blood cells, which in turn cause sickle cell. Now, Cressy says the disease nearly took his dream of becoming a pilot, and he wants to start a nonprofit now to help others. About 3,000 people in Louisiana live with sickle cell.
Great news. We love it. Thank you to science. Thank you to doctors. Thank you to researchers. No offense to God, but I feel like she didn't really have her hand in this one. But if the patient feels, if he feels like God had a hand in it, okay. But truly interesting that we didn't get thanked to the doctors or the scientists. That is one part of how patriarchal religions sink into everything in relation to like science and medical success and growth is like, this is why we're struggling so much to get people to believe in science, because when science cures you, you thank the wrong person. So I love this. This is great news. I just needed to point that out though. Okay, another cute video, right? And chat, yes, chat says, okay, I'm not alone. I always feel guilty. No. It triggers my PDA to see people. It almost feels like a trick when people go like, I'm sick. Can you please, like, I'm sick. Can you buy my painting? Like, if you're sick and you need a donation, I'm happy to donate. But don't be like, oh, I need to, you know, I'm almost like, I don't like the pity story in order for me to give you money, because like, I would rather like, to buy something I don't need, like, I'll just give you money, girl. Like, you don't have to make up a story. But also, like, it feels like in a capitalistic world, it's just like, why are you, it's like you're trying to trick me or something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to run a scam, bro. Like, I'll just give you money. I also, to be fair, like, I come from a family background where, like, I did this to my brothers once. I texted them. I was like, hey, bros, I need like $200. Can one of you help me out? And my bro was like, yes, send me your Venmo. And, like, they didn't ask why. And that's just like the kind of family that I have. Like, you know, I might ask why, but I'm like, oh yeah, for sure, bro. What's up? Are you okay? You need more than that or you need less? Like, do you need more? Like, can I send you more? Like, I don't need you to tell me a story. If you ask me for money, I'll give it to you. Generally speaking. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. It feels icky sometimes when people get on the internet. And like, also, I do think it's weird when people have their Cash App or Venmo in their bio. That's just a different cultural bubble for me, but I just don't get it. Because I've never sent someone randomly money who didn't need help. But also, like, if they didn't ask for help, but like, I don't know why people have that in their bios. Are randos just sending you guys money? And then are you paying taxes on that money? Because are they sending it as family and friends? Or is it like, I'm confused. And you know, if it excels a certain amount of money, you got to pay taxes. Like, I'm just confused. To be fair, it has to be like $15,000 over friends and family to pay taxes or something like that. But I don't know. It's weird. Okay, cute video time. Throwback to when I accidentally caught this. It's two young girls on a bench next to two older women on a bench. Like, this definitely does feel like this is what life is about. You know, sitting outside, spending time outside, eating and chatting. And this is why I do think it's evil how many people have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to do the basics, because this is how we should be living our life after work, on the weekends. And look, I will say that as a millennial, I did get to experience this. I had it for a second. I don't know very many people who get this right now, given the economy, myself included, honestly. But I had it in my 20s. At one point in my life, I worked even multiple jobs. And I would have time to go outside. I did have weekends. I had time. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, like I really did have time. And my heart breaks for all the people in the world who don't get this. And I really hope we can move in a direction where people get it. Because like, we deserve to go outside. We deserve to sit on grass for hours and relax with our friends and giggle. And you know what I mean? Like, we deserve this. And I think the world would be better if more people could have this experience. Yeah. Okay. Did I just rhyme? Chat says, Britt, did you just rhyme? I don't know. Did I? Well, what can I say? Okay, next video.
26 women got together and created this place without men, and it works. We're a mixed tenure community, so 17 of the flats are leasehold and the other 8 are social rentals. You know, we are the mothers of sons, the daughters of fathers. Some women are in relationships with men still, but no man can own or rent a flat here. But we are not anti-men. The garden is communal. Each person has their own outside, either terrace or balcony, and then you've got the communal areas, which is this here, and the pergola, and the orchard garden, and where we've just had tea and coffee. And then we've got a guest flat, and it's for the use of our friends or family who are coming to stay. It's been designed in such a way you meet in different areas around the post boxes, up on the little roof terrace just there. And then of course the communal room, where there's yoga classes and Tai Chi and film nights, and we have communal meals there every other week. I think it's wonderful because we've got the choice, you know, either to be with people or to be alone, and both work within the framework of this community. We have a shared ethos here. We don't look after each other, we look out for each other. The woman who lives in this flat is away in Sri Lanka.
We don't look after each other. What is
shared
that? Say that again.
Ethos here. We don't look after each other.
We look out for each other. We don't look after each other. Oh, like we're not caretakers. We look out for each other. Oh, that's beautiful.
Look out for each other. The woman who lives in this flat is away in Sri Lanka at the moment. And I don't think there's any place else you could go away and leave your front door wide open so your cat's looked after. When we designed it, we wanted, you know, brightness, but we also wanted that you know somebody's okay, so you can see into the various flats. I mean, I love my own flat, but I love, love, love this flat because we live in such times of chaos and uncertainty. To be secure and to live in an intentional community. You might not like them all the time. You don't even like your own family some of the time, but you have a shared commitment to how you want to live. People sit around at different times after a meal and lots of wine and think, oh gosh, wouldn't it be great if we all lived together? Let's all, when we're older, buy a place. This table heard those stories, and this table is now in the place where those stories came through.
Ugh, I just thought that was so cute. I hope they're a group of nice ladies. It seems really sweet. It seems like a cute idea, and it's about safety at the end of the day. This is why even gay facilities, like gay neighborhoods or gay apartment buildings, have tried to be opened because, again, these are marginalized communities. That's why they need these spaces. And that's why it sounds, as much as people say, like, oh, imagine if men did this. Like, again, it's like you're missing the point. Or imagine if straight people did this and no gay people could live anywhere. You already do this. Like, you already do discriminate against gay couples. They have been kicked out of neighborhoods. You already did this to black and brown people. You kicked them out of neighborhoods. You wouldn't let them move into certain neighborhoods. Like, that's why marginalized communities end up having to form their own communities. And this is why I say the road to hell is paved in good intentions. Like, if you tried to do less bad every day, I wouldn't have to do so much effort to counter your good intentions, you know? So I just thought that was really sweet, and I wanted to share it with you, especially as we transition. I'm going to show you a trans person. Transition into what we're moving on to next. I will say this before I start. I have been seeing an uptick of cis women on TikTok trying very hard to be inclusive of trans women, but of using very old school language. Like, I don't think trans people are born cis. I think they're born, first of all, okay, actually, radical stance here. I don't know if I believe in trans people or cis people. I think trans people only exist because cis people think they exist. I don't even know if they exist, because if we didn't assign babies gender at birth, none of us would be cis or trans. Cis is just assigned, like, your gender assigned at birth, right? But like, if we didn't assign gender at birth, none of us would be cis or trans. So I don't really understand it as a concept. But people will be like, oh, I'm inviting, you know, I'm inviting people into my space, like these trans women, but they used to be men. It's like, were they men? Are trans women men? I don't think trans women were ever men. They maybe were perceived as men or thought of themselves as men, but like, what is a man, really? So then, you know, there's layers to this. With that said, let's talk about gay news, which is interesting. It's the same thing we deal with every sports game, but let's talk about it. First, with a look to ground ourselves in something.
Conforming people are saying, hey, trans and gender non-conforming people are saying, hey, everyone, I want to be able to exist. I want to be able to walk outside without being spat on. I want to be able to live and not fear dying. I want to be able to wear what I'm wearing and not be called brave. I want to be able to actually have people regard my humanity, not some one-dimensional trope that they're getting from these racist and transphobic algorithms. And people are saying that's a threat. Darling, the threat is a system that has made you mistake your latent disassociation as a personality. That's the threat. Trans and gender nonconforming.
Okay. So it says, let me go back to the beginning here. Iran wants rainbow banned from World Cup Pride. Pride Month, the Iranian Federation has called FIFA to ban rainbow symbols ahead of its upcoming World Cup game against Egypt. In celebration of Pride Month, the game has been dubbed the Pride Match due to campaigns planned by the LGBTQ plus community in Seattle. According to The Atlantic, the Iranian side has asked all symbols related to this movement be banned from entering the stadium, citing the need to respect religious values and belief of the two Muslim countries. Despite this, FIFA is allowing rainbow flags and symbols at all games in 2026 World Cup. However, FIFA President Gianni Infantino has refused to allow the Pride match tag to become official. LGBT activists in Seattle say the game must promote inclusion, it's invisibility. It's kind of blurred right here. So then I want to show you that this isn't unique. So now what's going to happen is all the Islamophobes are going to say, see, Islam is so bigoted. Islam is so homophobic. Islam is so bad. See, this is why we should be afraid of Muslims, right? Oh, but wait, girls, the Christians are at it too. They always are. They're right there with them, okay?
Controversy. Pride Night controversy. The San Francisco Giants continue to be at the center of a debate nationwide surrounding hats that were worn by several players. What the MLB commissioner is now saying. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kristen Z.
And I'm Karina Nova. This comes as the Giants play their first home game since the Pride Night controversy.
ABC 7 Eyewitness News anchor Liz Biro joins us live in the studio now. Liz, things are really starting to heat up heading into tonight's game.
Yeah, Kristen, Karina, the San Francisco Giants take on the Athletics at 6:45 tonight. But the Giants are still at the center of controversy. Now, this is really not going away. President of Operations Buster Posey is set to speak this afternoon. Meanwhile, a protest outside the stadium that's planned for 6 tonight. Now, this all stems from players writing Bible verses on the team's pride hats. The players received a warning from Major League Baseball because altering any part of a uniform is a...
So in case you guys are just watching, it says Genesis 9:18 through something?
Against
or 9:12 through 16, I think.
Policy. No fines were issued. Now MLB's Commissioner Rob Manfred saying the Giants really messed up. He wrote a letter to Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley. The commissioner said the team failed to let those players know they could opt out of wearing the rainbow hats at the annual Pride Night earlier this month. The Department of Justice is also investigating, saying the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission would investigate.
I think it's probably, which verse is Genesis 12 through 18? No, it can't be this one. Wait. Pharaoh confronts Abram for lying about his wife Sarah. No, it can't be this one. What's the
San Francisco Giants take up the players? Let those
Genesis. Doesn't it look like 12 through 16? It can't be that one. Doesn't make any sense. I thought it would be like, man must not lie with another man or some shit like that. It's the promise that the rainbow means God won't kill us again. Oh, maybe it is that actually. Yeah, because God went out there just murdering everybody multiple times. God was like, I'm going to kill everybody in this house. Yeah, interesting. Chapter 9, verse 12 through... Yeah, chapter 9. Oh. That makes more sense. Wait, what? I feel like... Why is it so hard for me to find? Got it. Fuck, that took forever. In Genesis 9:12-16, God made solemn a promise, a covenant with Noah and all living creatures. He promises never to destroy the earth with the flood again. God places a rainbow in the clouds as a permanent sign sign of this faithful promise. Well, maybe he did that ahead of time because he knew the gays were going to have their moment. You know what I mean? Like, what if God was like, look, I just know the homosexuals are going to have their day and they're going to take this symbol. So I'm just going to preempt it and say, like, I'm not going to destroy the earth no matter how gay it gets. Because remember how he like destroyed the earth before because Sodom and Gomorrah, and he was like, it's just too gay and I'm going to destroy it. But then he was like, okay, how many times am I really going to kill everyone for being gay? So maybe God just knew, you know? I mean, he can see the future. So maybe he could have avoided Sodom and Gomorrah though. You know, also Sodom and Gomorrah, they were also raping, okay, and pillaging. It wasn't just like the homosexuals were there. There was raping happening, okay? God said, oopsies, here's a rainbow. God's like, honestly, I just cannot keep killing everybody. Like, you know what I mean? Just crazy, crazy shit. Anyways, okay, so all of this to give us a nice little opener for what we're about to talk about. But, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about beauty and looks and aging and aesthetics. So this might be a hard one for some people. I know this topic usually can trigger some people. So just be kind to yourself. Okay. And then at the end, we're going to feature a video that you guys asked me to watch that I already started watching and read the comments. And people were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Look at the comment for this video. YouTube atheist becomes community organizer is the best fucking thing. Okay. Genetically modified skeptic basically went on a journey of not arguing with anyone anymore. And apparently it changed his life. And I thought, oh, we definitely got to talk about that. So we'll talk about that too at the end. Let me see. Let's see. Chet said that's not even why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah anyways. I mean, look, I haven't been in the church in 20 years. I just know God sent his angels to test the people, and the people tried to rape the angels. And God said, nah, I'm going to kill all you bitches. And then as Lot and his wife were leaving, God said, don't turn around and look at Sodom and Gomorrah. And Lot's wife was like, and then she turned into a pillar of salt. And then Lot's daughters was like, did Lot fuck his daughters or was that somebody else? You know what? It's been 20 years since I did Bible study. Don't ask me anything. Don't ask me nothing. I don't know anything. Okay? I'm not Dan McClellan. I don't know anything. Okay, I'm not Britt Hartley. I don't know nothing. I am just here for the love of the game. Okay, let's talk about looking your age. Let's talk about beauty. Let's talk about expectations of aesthetic. Let's talk about the kind of autism I also have, which is, can you please tell me if I look good or not? Because if you tell me I do not look good, I will try to change it, not for your preference, but for mine. And I'm not asking you, my audience. But if I was to go to my bestie or my sister and I said, am I pulling off this look? They'd say, what look are you going for? And then they'd give me the right advice. I love this kind of content on TikTok. I love when women come to the internet, or men or anybody come to the internet and they say, guys, like, how old do I look? And then they realize it hurts their feelings. Not because they don't want to look their age, but because they don't look their age. Most of the people will say they look a ton of years older. And they're like, wait, I don't want to look a ton of years older. But then it begs a question we've been having, and we'll talk a little bit about Chelsea Fagan's perspective on this because of one of her latest videos, where she also noticed a negative to a lot of these trends. And I'm going to talk about the nuances between the different kinds of trends that overlap here. But, okay, here is the video that infamously set some people off. I don't think she is the first person to do this trend, but her video went especially viral. Do you guys remember this girlie here? Apparently, in her first initial video, everyone thought she was 36. Okay, here's a video.
Somebody recently told me that
the audio is so low.
36 years old.
It's a stitch. Hold on.
Okay, against my better judgment.
So now she's coming back again. So that was her original stitch. And now she's coming back again. And okay, she's like, here's the video. Now she's asking for help. I just want you to point out, they are asking for help. They are saying, hey, do I look my age? Do I look good? Like, should I change anything? And I think it's okay to look in the mirror and say, man, the outside isn't matching the inside. Gender affirming care exists for all of us. Beauty affirming care exists for all of us. Not that we owe the world beauty or to even, quote, look the gender that we are, because I don't even believe in that. But we owe it to ourselves to feel good, because I want you to feel confident about yourself, okay?
We're going to do this again. Back in December, I asked, do I look 36 years old? Upon inspecting the video, it was just not a very flattering video. My hair was pulled back. There were a lot of things working against me,
okay,
if you will.
How old do you guys think she is?
But I see a lot of Gen Z out here asking how old they look. And it's really trendy right now. And I feel like maybe I started the trend. I don't know. I don't think so. But anyway, do I still look 36? My hair's down. My gray hairs are still here. They're not going anywhere. I do have different glasses than the last video just because I get new glasses around the first of the year. Do I look 36 still? This is my face.
Okay. First of all, great skin, beautiful eyes. Honestly, her gray looks pretty cool. I think when I first saw her transparently in this video, I thought 38. And then I saw her in this video and I thought 34. Cause she has like homeschool young face, you know? She looks like a homeschooler. I think if I saw her at the store, I might think on a quick glance 42, right? Like I might think 42. But if you really look at her face, she looks kind of young. Okay. She is 31. Okay. She's 31 years old. Here's her page. The dilemma though is like her aesthetic reminds me of women I do know in their 60s. So it's a little confusing because we're used to seeing a very specific aesthetic on women in their 60s because that's how we understand ages sometimes is we go by style, aesthetic, you know, even when people have older hairstyles, I'm like, oh, like you must be an older person because it's usually what you're comfortable with. But she went gray pretty early. So she has a lot of gray. I can see why people would mistake her for older because of the gray. I do think that makes a big difference. Okay. She's making like positive videos about having gray. So I think she's relatively comfortable. But like, you know, it does age you. I think it ages her. Right?
But I had fun putting makeup on yesterday. So I'm going to put a little bit on today. Because
like she just gives homeschooler
and expressing them and whatever. So
and I do think there's a homeschool look that makes people look either older or younger, but there's like an innocence to her in a sense, and I don't mean that derogatory. Okay, and I think it makes sense that people were confused about her age. I also want to point out that I have a theory. Actually, hold on. Let me show you this video next, and then I'll tell you my theory. Okay, note what she's wearing. Do you see what she's wearing? Okay, look at this video. Okay, watch this video.
How do people think I am? In this past week, I have been called a 14-year-old's mother. I've been called 40. Today I got asked if I was going to pick up the kids after I had done this shopping. And then at other times, I'm like, people will say, oh yeah, you're like 20. Like you look 20. You look 22. I'm 24. How do people think?
For the record, being 24 in some places would mean you had kids in a family. I remember when my girlfriend was 25 years old. She was in the Midwest for a job. 25. And the little girls she was coaching or teaching, they said, why don't you have a husband and kids if you're 25? So just for the record, okay, now, to be fair, and I will just say this bluntly, and look, the reason I love this topic is because I do have the kind of like, I like categories of people and I like how aesthetics change things. Look, transparently, my partner and I have both had open and transparent conversations about this. When I look like this, okay, when he looks like this, we are less like in sexy mode or we're less thinking about sex because you know, we're less like in our element. So sometimes I think that also plays into how people perceive our age because fuckability plays into desirability, which plays into like youth because like we kind of imagine sex as a young person's game. That's why when older people are like super well groomed, they give like fuckability, which gives like daddy energy, mommy energy, which gives like, oh, not that you're even having sex, but it's the oozing of sex. So when I'm put together and my hair is done and I'm wearing earrings and I'm in clothes, I just automatically, I feel sexier. And then because I feel sexier, I think I'm perceived more available and youthful. Like my knees don't crack when I bend them, which they do, but let's pretend they don't, you know? So I think what happens is a lot of these girlies innocently get on the internet just looking like they didn't even try. And when you don't even try, I do think there's an element of aging you up, because there's also a stereotype as you get older, you don't care anymore what you look like. But if you don't care what you look like as you get older, then it correlates in people's, like, people are just pattern making, like recognizing machines. That's all we're doing. We're just recognizing things. I feel the same way, by the way, about watching these stupid boys get up here and be taken seriously when they look like they didn't even brush their teeth today. I do think it's bullshit that men get to show up with disheveled hair looking like a mess. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you don't even look like together. But also that's a big part of the patriarchy disadvantaging femme people from being able to do the same thing, because we won't be taken as seriously. But of course, separate from that, individually, I think the reason people make content like this is because they do want to feel pretty, but they're embarrassed to learn how, because I went through that too. And maybe I'm projecting, but from my understanding of the content, they really do. They really do want to feel pretty. They want to feel sexy. They want to feel whatever. Okay. And sometimes the best advice I can give you is go get a haircut and wear clothes that make you feel good about yourself. But usually what we all default to, because we're dealing with fat phobia or blemishes in our skin or insecurities about XYZ, we hide instead in clothes that we feel like is like, sometimes we cope. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to look good. Like, I just like sweats. And then you get the pick-me girls that are like, I'm not like other girls. I don't even care if I'm pretty. And it's like, but you kind of want to be pretty. But you think you're not like other girls, so like you don't have to be. Look, I think you should feel attractive regardless of gender. Okay? Now, here it is, right? Okay. Wait, Chet says, what if I'm literally over sex and desirability and ready for kindness and commitment? It feels so fucking grating now. Okay, so let's talk about it, because I do think these two things are different. Being fuckable doesn't mean you're having sex. It's a way to explain a feeling of feeling good in yourself. So kindness and compassion can also use whatever word necessary to translate. What I'm trying to explain to you is a feeling, not a literal, something literal. I'm not saying you have to be fuckable. I'm saying you're allowed to feel pretty and therefore like not ugly, not rejected. And also it's okay to say that I am ugly. It's okay to be ugly as well. And this plays into sort of, hold on. Before I get there, let me show you this. Before I get there, let me show you this, and then I'll give you a TikTok to explain this. So she made a response to her original video.
What do people think I am? Let's get my skin. I'm trying to look 24 again. We've got
so she's 24.
Updated skincare routine, taking in some of your notes and seeing what products I was able to find on clearance, because your girl, a broke uni student.
Okay, so she's watching her face, she's getting ready.
Lots of water on my face.
This takes spoons. Like, doing a nighttime routine takes spoons. It's even exhausting for me, you know?
And on my hands.
Okay, I'm gonna skip to the end.
So that's my skin. And, transition into my outfit.
Okay, then she transitioned. Her hair's a little bit more done. It's instantly better. Instantly better. Look, instantly glowing. Our queen is glowing. Look, this, glowing. One little change, glowing. A little bang in the front, boom. Totally different. It's like, yes, girl. Exactly. The tiniest little effort can change the way she feels about herself, can change the way, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, on top of this plays into deconstructing and making sure we're categorizing the expectation of beauty versus the desirability aspect, the intersection of like also being professional at work and what that means. So all of this should be deconstructed as we talk. All of it. So if you have questions, please let me know, right? Okay. Please note a second thing that I'm going to bring up even about myself. Are you ready for this? I have a theory that this shirt, well, less this shirt, but this shirt, see this high collar? Okay, I think for some of us girlies, we can't pull it off. It makes us look instantly older. I don't know why, but it's a thing. I'll give myself as an example. There are two pieces of clothing that when I wear them, I get the same response from my audience. You look old. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking old. That's not the argument I'm making. What I think my audience is trying to say to me is I look wrong. I think we keep using the word old, but I think what I'm hearing you say is you look like you dressed your avatar wrong in a way that means like it doesn't fit. Now, I will tell you this. So this is the first top I always get told I look old in, okay? I'm going to mute myself. Okay, I love this top. And sometimes I make it work for me and it's fine and I still wear it. But I see what you're saying. The second top I wear is this top. And both of these were given to me by my mother-in-law, by the way. I did not buy them. I love this top, but I think anything high neck looks wrong on me. I'm gonna mute myself. But I want to take this top. Excuse me. I want to take this top and I want to take it to a seamstress and see if she can remake it for me, or he can remake it, or they can remake it for me in something else, like a tank top, a tube top, a halter top. There's enough material in this shirt that I'm kind of hoping somebody can remake it into something else, because every time I wear it, it just like, it's too much for people. But I actually think if I transform it into something wearable, it'll be good. So I'm going to try to pay somebody to transform it for me. Okay. So again, when we have these conversations, I think it's okay that sometimes we want to wear something that doesn't quite fit or doesn't quite work. And for me, I've always gotten compliments when my shoulders show. And yes, my chest, but less my breasts and more like my collarbone and my shoulders. And I think that's true. I kind of feel like I feel like a little more confident, I think, weirdly enough, when my shoulders are showing. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I work out my shoulders a lot. But I do feel like more confident when I feel like also ready a little bit. I feel like a little bit at 1-2. I do feel like a little bit more like like the way I walk is more confident. When I'm wearing too many clothes and I'm very modest, I feel like I'm trapped a little bit in my clothes. Like I don't feel like I can like fight a bit. Like I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? So I think that's okay and I think that's fair. Right? Okay, does anybody have any comments that I missed? If you do, you can repeat them if I missed them, because I feel like you guys are probably saying really great stuff right now. Oh, chat says it fits into losing your spark as an adult. Not gonna lie, I'm working through being a full-on adult and feeling like I can still be in spaces I've always enjoyed. Shows, comms and raves. Okay, if you're saying what I think you're saying, this is exactly what I'm trying to say. We are allowed to have a spark. Because I do think as we age, some people, we lose ourselves to the stress of work and the stress of life. When I was younger, it was all about expressing myself and being wild and wearing that's why I think watching young people struggle with this is so hard, because they never even got the spark era, because a lot of people get the benefit of youth. A lot of people get the benefit of like, I'm young, this is my time to have something, but they end up getting skipped out. One, because they're fighting fat phobia. A lot of these girlies are homeschooled and a bit chubby. And I think because the world doesn't love them, the world doesn't give them the tools to have a spark. This is why I love to see Fat Girl Magic on TikTok, because they absolutely have a spark. It absolutely exists in all bodies, and they deserve to have it young when they're feeling the best and when their knees don't creak. Okay, so I want to see you guys get it as well. And that's why I love like our fashion thread on the Discord. We're always sending videos over there, and just like they're so inspiring to me. Now, let me bring this around. Okay, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna go back to other videos, but I'm gonna show you this video because I realized I had them lined up in a particular way, but because that commenter above, what did you say earlier? Oh, chat, I forgot what you said, but it made me realize I should talk about this now. Let's talk about this because desirability. Look at this. So you guys know Shan Budrum. You know her and Jared. I have a lot of criticisms, hopefully constructive, about their thing. But I think what always throws me about Shan is that she doesn't know how pretty she is. And it actually grinds my gears. Okay, something really makes me upset about the world. When people who are ugly don't know they're ugly, when people who are pretty don't know they're pretty. Like, but I mean this like respectfully, because I think like if you don't know yourself, how can I trust you? Because like, how do you not know you're so pretty? And then that kind of annoys me a little bit, because it's like, can I even trust your judgment? Like, can I even trust your judgment that you don't know you're pretty? You know what I mean? The idea that Shan questions her desirability, or like, quote, dating men out of her league, like, wait until you see this video. Okay, wait until you see this video.
10 years ago when I was on dating apps, I would like somebody and I could just be like 3, 2, it's a match. Like It would just be an immediate match. And now I'm like liking people. And then now it was like, okay, I've learned the lesson, but I'm not getting any likes back.
Interesting.
So
why do you think that is? I think this is such good advice about dating people out of your...
This is Queer Poly Babe. She makes a lot of response TikToks, and she actually tried to have a glow up on TikTok. She's been really working on it. She has Lesbian Moms Fun. She has been trying to blow up on TikTok. She has a very unique aesthetic and she's trying to find herself. So I've been following her journey as well.
Looks League, keep watching.
What I learned from this is that dating apps are based on looks. I mean, by and large, they're based on looks. And if you want to date outside of your look bracket, like for what is just naturally going to come your way at any given time, they may not be the best tool for you. If you know your real magic, if you're the middle friend and I'm the middle friend, you know what I mean? Like, I know my real magic is in person. Yep. And so to get the guy that I am really attracted to, I'm probably going to have to see that guy out, ask him a question, have funny banter, give that moment of connection. Otherwise, if I'm going to have to like go with, you know, who I can get at my looks level, it may not be the person I'm ultimately attracted to.
I really love Shan's advice because it is very realistic, but also it doesn't have a defeatist mindset. It's also not blaming anybody who she is attracted to on dating apps for not matching with her or not being interested in her. I'm personally not somebody who believes that you need to stay in your looks league or only date people who are as societally desirable as you are. I think that there are all types of attraction and desirability, and not everyone just goes for aesthetic looks. It's also true that if you get to know somebody in person, a lot of people can become more attracted to you over time, whereas dating apps are very two-dimensional. You're only seeing a picture and some short bios. So if you are like Shan and you really want to date somebody who is more conventionally attractive than you are, you can first try to make yourself more physically attractive or more conventionally attractive in whatever way that you are able to. But if you've done everything that you can possibly do to make yourself as attractive as you can possibly be and you're happy with the way that you look, if you're still not attracting the people that you're very attracted to on dating apps, it might be time to take her advice, because if you want a certain type of person, you might have to put extra work in. You might have to go to environments where they might be. You might have to learn charisma and be charming and really play the numbers with your type. And so I know there's a lot of people who are just going to be like, no, you should just date people who are as conventionally attractive as you are. If you can't match with them on a dating app, you shouldn't go for them. Listen, I think that people should go for whoever they're attracted to. I think that acknowledging the way that the world actually works and navigating accordingly, and understanding that if you really want that person, you just might have to put in more effort. You might have to meet them in person. You might have to make them see your other attractive qualities outside of just aesthetic looks. It might take more. But I'm all for people seeing what they want and going for it, and understanding that if this environment isn't working to be conducive to get you what you want, you might have to think outside the box a little bit. I love this advice. And I think that it honestly can apply to both men or women, but that is just my opinion.
Okay, so first, I understand that, and I don't want to take away from Shan's experience. Like, I can see that for some people, Shan might be and look a little nerdy plus pretty. But I think what annoys me about watching Shan and Jared is I think she thinks, because of the way he looks, like she's not as good looking as him. And I've always felt this when I've watched Shan's work, where I think she thinks he's hotter than her. And I hate that, because I think conventionally he is considered more attractive than her, but I could never think Jared is attractive because of his attitude. But I think Shan is beautiful. And I just think it's interesting when we like think about what is traditional or aesthetic. So look at this.
Is that I got married to you and I gave you vows and I had your children and I wake up every day beside you and I do life with you and we share a bank account, we go on trips. And I feel weird about saying this to you.
Okay.
But I really know, Jared, we're going to be together until one of us dies.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I really know that.
I know that too. I've known that since we got married.
Okay, it's not time to one-up people.
Okay, I'm just telling you, I've known that. And thank you for that. It gives me a lot of comfort. And you know me, I have a thing that I'm slowly realizing. Although you say to me like how much you...
Also, I need to point out that I'm saying conventionally attractive while recognizing that they're both brown and black people. So I just want to point out that I understand that there is a white supremacist intersection here that I am not considering in this conversation, because I don't care what racists think right now. But yes, we have to talk about that there is obviously, when we talk about dating experiences and her being a mixed girl and having those experiences, she's Indian and black, when she's having those experiences in the world. And even when people hear that she's mixed, that might bring some sort of intersection into play. So obviously we should say that out loud. I see Chad bringing it up as well, that I think that's really important to talk about. But I do think that there is, from the feeling I get when I watch Shan's work, sometimes I do think she thinks she is the less pretty partner, the less attractive partner. And I think that plays into, and forgive me for saying this because I know she hears it all the fucking time, and I don't mean to add to the conversation because I don't even agree with the people that hate her in this regard. But I think it plays into the fact that Jared is the one who suggested the open relationship because he was already open when they met and she had to move into that open relationship with him. It also, I think, gets to her because she's older than Jared and Jared is younger. And I think all of this kind of plays into the way she perceives herself. So maybe throughout her life, and again, I do not want to take this away from her because sometimes I also think I'm middle attractive, I think too. But when I compare myself to Shan, I go, Shan's obviously way prettier than me. But if Shan in her group is the middle girl, then I'm like middle to me means like I'm pretty, but I'm not like the prettiest and I'm not like the ugliest. But also it just in relation to what would be on first glance conventional. But I noticed I had more success on dating apps because my pictures were better. And also there's just like more men on dating apps, period. But when I was dating girls, I had just as much success because they said my photos looked interesting. And I did notice that a lot of people's photos online just suck. They're really bad. But when I say success on dating apps, I just mean having conversations with people. I obviously did meet my partner on a dating app. So there's a lot at play here, you know, and so sometimes when I talk about being in the middle pretty, people are like, oh no, Brittany, you're so pretty though. Yeah, but like I don't want to take any of that away from Shan's lived experience, but it's just to put into perspective, right? The way we see ourselves and the way that plays into how we move through the world and how we feel about ourselves and, you know, feeling sexy or not feeling sexy. Like Shan's obviously a beautiful person, you know, and yet I could see somebody looking at her and saying, oh yeah, that's not my type. But see, I look at Shan and I go, I don't know how that's not everybody's type in the sense that I think of Shan as like pretty enough, like so pretty that like anybody would think she was pretty versus I know for myself, I am not that kind of pretty. But then if Shan is telling us she's not that kind of pretty, then I'm thinking, well, who are these shallow motherfuckers that are rejecting you? Because if they're rejecting you, then what is this even about? But then if you really deconstruct attraction as a whole, what is anybody rejecting anybody for? Like, why is anybody rejecting anybody? Because like, who cares if the love of your life isn't conventionally attractive? Like, I don't love their body, I love them. I don't love their face, I love them. Right? The attractiveness I find for you is your consciousness. So then there's that whole layer, right? There's that whole layer. Okay, let me just make sure. Let me see. Chet said, I wish more people could be transparent without being rude. I've asked so many people if I'm pretty and they're always like, oh my gosh, you're gorgeous. Like, I know I'm not Bella Hadid. I'm a 5 at best. I think you can, I find that it's easier for me to just see how other people react to other people who aren't me. So what I do is I look for people who look like me and then I see how people are reacting to them because my lived experience isn't a good reflection of things because I'm really confident and I'm really bold and I'm really like, I slide into DMs girl. So it's not like my lived experience, like I've always been dating. I've always had people attracted to me. I've always been around people, but to be fair, there are people who are in my similar aesthetic group. You know, it's not like I'm dating people who are like the most gorgeous person in the world, but at the same time, okay, this plays into beauty autism. I don't have a special interest in beauty. I have a special interest in aesthetic. If your special interest is beauty, then which beauty standard are you adhering to? The conventional one in your bubble. And I've never been conventional. So to the person in chat who asked me, I think you said I'm punk, and as I get older, I want to be punk. Can you be punk as you get older? You can be punk as you get older. I would recommend upping materials, quality of clothing and items, and it will age appropriately with you. I think that's the only suggestion I would make. If you're alternative in any capacity, I would just look at material upgrade. That's what I'm doing for myself. So if I'm going to buy a corset, I'm going to buy a better materialed corset. If I buy boots, I'm going to buy better materialed boots. If I buy something that is, you know, whatever your aesthetic is, I'm just thinking upgrading to something a little bit more, not name brand, not overpriced. I mean quality, like quality of material, quality of how clean it stays, quality of wrinkle, quality of, and then you'll look like, then you'll feel good and it will make sense and it won't feel like a costume as much, you know? And you won't be running into that mistake of chasing youth, which feels really awkward. Like, look, I know what a 50-year-old trying to dress like a young person looks like. It's cringe and it's weird and it's predatory. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be an older person that's trying to dress young. You want to be an older person who has a category, if this is what you want, don't listen to me if it's not, who's goth, but adult goth. Who's punk, but adult punk. Okay? Who's whatever style you're into, but adult. Because I do think there's an aesthetic that's appropriate more for an adult goth than a teen goth. Okay? And this, I just think like a lot of older people are very predatory in the way that they desire to dress a particular way. Sometimes. Mostly men. Okay. Here's a Chanel. Take her with a grain of salt. I don't even know if it's called Chanel Savvy. I don't even know what's her name? Chanel? I don't know. But take this with a grain of salt. It says, I feel this glowing up and working on myself is a special interest. Okay. She's autistic.
Many autistic girls have a special interest in glowing up, getting prettier, and improving their aesthetics, and they don't realize it's a special interest because we have been pre-programmed to think what a special interest is through the lens of boys, right? We often think that special interests are planes, trains, cars. That's what boys like, okay? Which is great. But what do girls like? Girls often like makeup, hair, dolls, that sort of thing. So that can be a special interest for girls. And that's why a lot of us have the special interest of makeup. For a lot of us, we have a huge collection or, a ton of perfume, something like that. But also we realize as well that there are real world consequences to improving our aesthetics. We often find that we are treated better in the world. We're allowed into certain rooms we wouldn't be let into. Our autism is overlooked when we, look a certain way. So there are perks for our special interest being glowing up, as well as just the fact that that can be our special interest. Often we just see it through the lens of what boys and men have as special interest because boys are overstudied compared to girls.
True. Okay. Also, Discord is correcting me that Shan might have been poly beforehand. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong on that. I thought Jared was open because wasn't that a contention in them getting together? I thought it was. I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to misunderstand their story, so maybe I did. But I think she's making a great point here. And you can tell, look, beauty is not one of my special interests. I tried it. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup growing up. And so it really gave me a weird confidence and insecurity about myself where I was confident enough to be barefaced like I am today. I'm not wearing any makeup today. Okay. I'm not wearing anything today. I didn't have the spoons to put on makeup because I had to leave the house and then I came home and I didn't have time. So I was just like, you know what? No makeup today. But I loved buying makeup palettes, but I just never knew how to use them. I loved buying makeup, but I really never learned how to use them. And when I started wearing makeup at 18, I would get so frustrated, just so angry with how hard it was for me. I would just give up. And then I eventually just gave in and started wearing makeup and just deluding myself into thinking I knew how to do it. You know what I mean? So yeah, Chet said, is there something in religion against makeup? No, my mom just particularly, I think the bubble they're in just values barefaced and clean girl, blah, blah, blah. But also she wanted me to feel confident without the makeup. She didn't want me to be one of those girls who can't leave the house without makeup on, which to be fair, did help me because some of my girlies can't even go to the gym without makeup on or go to the pool without makeup on and not about to be me. So a part of me is grateful without judging anybody else. But yeah, but my mom was also the kind of mom that one time in high school, I had the worst line of whiteheads you've ever seen on my face. Girls big whitehead, big whitehead, big whitehead, big whitehead, big. It was the worst outbreak of my life. I really struggled with acne growing up. And it was just the biggest, juiciest pimples you've ever seen. And I told my mom, I cannot go to school. I sit behind a really cute boy in class and I'm not about to have him turn around and look at my face. And my mom let me stay home. So my mom's a real one, my mom's a real one. She's like, you don't have to go to school. You can stay home. I was like, thank you. So sometimes, anyways, okay. Let me show you. Okay, so let me show you this now. You ready? By the way, guys, this topic connects to everything that we do. Money, job, relationships, hanging out with friends, figuring out who your homies are by the way they're dressed. Clothes are political. Everything we do signals something about in-group, out-group. So when I look at this topic, I know a lot of people like, let's go to Chelsea. Chelsea is, our girl's going through it. Okay. She's going through like a midlife crisis or something. I don't know, where everything when it comes to looking young, being young is just like still combating patriarchy. I'm in the stage of like, ooh, what can I learn about bubble differences, how we look, what we're signaling, right? And there's something good that Chelsea points out here and something that I want to point out as well. So here, let's watch this. This is from her latest video, Millennials Need to Accept We're Middle-Aged, LOL. This was 3 days ago.
That is younger than ourselves. One of the things that I will see a lot, and I think I'm being fed this because I'm, a 37-year-old woman, which is we're starting to get to the age where for some reason, and I swear to God, when my fellow millennial women do this, nothing makes me feel more of an I'm not with them feeling than when they'll post videos or photos of themselves specifically bragging about the fact that they look so much younger than they do. A 20-something will be getting roasted on TikTok for having sun damage, this is one of the things that I see on TikTok, and I'm like, I've taken unfathomable psychic damage from having to see this. But a Gen Zer who looks maybe a little more worn or leathered, I guess, in the skin than an average 20-something will be getting fucking ripped to shreds in the comments. Like, a woman will post a video of herself like making muffins, and they'll be like, why do you look so old? But then some of my fellow millennial women with vastly less decorum and wisdom than I would want to see from someone in my age bracket will come into the comments, post a picture of themselves and be like, I'm 37, by the way, or I'm 39, or I'm 45, by the way. And it's like, first of all, bitch, rarely are you posting a photo of yourself to flex on how young you look, and you actually do look that young. Also, you're often posting the best photo of yourself that's been edited or filtered or whatever. But even if you were like fucking Jessica Alba, who will look, I guess, 31 until the day she dies at this point, which congratulations to her.
Pause! Let's deconstruct that, will we? 1, I agree with Chelsea that when those posts come through, they're obnoxious. I'll give you evidence of them because she's right, they exist. But note that in her same criticism of the video of always trying to look young, she congratulates Jessica Alba for always looking 32. Maybe she's being sarcastic. Maybe it's a slip of the tongue. Maybe it's programming she hasn't deconstructed. But interesting. Now, she's right. This person exists. And I found her. I think, the person she is talking to. Or talking about, rather. Okay? I think it's this lady. This comment says, I'm 38 and you look around my age, maybe slightly older, 38 to 42. Okay? This is her. What do we think? How old do we think she is? She asked the internet, how old do you think I am? This is the age reveal video. Okay? So before she reveals her age, what are we thinking? I'm going to play it and you guys can guess. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Okay, I guess it's time to actually reveal my age since I have had...
Okay, now that she's talked a little bit and you heard her voice and the movements, what do we think the age is? Okay. So the average guess, I guess, was around 38 to 42. Here we go again.
Okay, I guess it's time to actually reveal my age since I have had guesses all over the place. All right, I'm 24. I'm not 38 to 42. Not even in my late 20s yet. I'm 24. I was born in 2000, May of 2000. Okay, so I'm even like a late 2000s baby. 24. I don't really understand, okay? And at first I was like, oh, maybe it's just people think I'm older on TikTok. No, this is a person in person who said I look 38. And now all the TikTok comments think I look older. I think part of it is because when I make TikToks, I don't use the retouch. I'll show y'all what that looks like. Okay, the retouch is now on. See how it just smooths everything, okay? I'm gonna take it back off. Yeah, so I don't use the retouch. I also don't have any work done, so yes, I do have wrinkles, okay? And my smile lines. Yeah, I've had no work done, so maybe that's it. I'm not as firm as a lot of other girls my age. I don't know. I really don't know what it is, but I'm 24.
Okay, so this is gonna sound so weird, but I would have thought she was older because of what her stomach looks like.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Everyone thinks I'm in my 30s or 40s. But I'm 24.
There is, and this is why Chelsea used the word like leathered. When you get too much sun, especially as a white person, it ages your skin immensely. So the pattern we recognize is old people's skin on a young body. So when certain people look like their skin has been alive for a long time, right? Chet said, not tummy shaming. No, not tummy shaming. Skin explaining. When it looks like you've been on the earth a long time, we just assume you're old. Not because you are, but because our brains as animals, we're recognizing the pattern of what things look like when they've been withered and when they've existed for a long time. When you sunbathe, you are aging your skin. When you sunbathe, you are cooking your flesh. Every dermatologist, every doctor will show you comparisons of someone who covers, who wears sunscreen, and someone who doesn't. You are literally you are aging yourself. But it's more than aging. You are wearing down your skin. You're exposing yourself to skin cancer, right? So I understand that what people are trying to convey to you, I think even deeper than saying you're old, is, hey, are you okay? And I mean this. I mean this very respectfully. Hey, are you okay? There is a very specific look that looks like old skin, wrinkled, tanned, and heroin addict in a very skinny white woman that I think some of these women look like. And I'm like, why are we going for this aesthetic? And I think it's cultural. I think they don't see it. I don't think they realize it. But if you grew up in the city, who are the white women who have enough time to be outside, be skinny, and get so tan their skin wrinkles? Often unhoused women who are suffering from addiction. So the association in a lot of people's heads are like, oh, you're going through it. If this woman slightly looked like she was struggling with her teeth, we would also add that in. Thin lips, mouth moved in. So what's happening is now you're coming with your aesthetic to an internet that is global. And so not only people in your bubble are going to see you, but people outside of your bubble. So it's not that she looks old, period. It's that she looks old to certain bubbles. Does that make sense? So she's a very cute girl. She's not cute, right? But in another bubble, you know what I'm saying? Again, in my bubble, in the Assyrian bubble, I look really young. All my cousins, since we were younger, tried to look older. More makeup, bigger hair, fancy clothes, houses and kids. And I look really young next to all my cousins. And then my other cousins that are like me, we look like kids next to our other cousins because we're not in that bubble. So our fashion is younger, the way we look is younger, our vocabulary is younger. The way we treat our bodies is different. We haven't had children. So so depending on the bubble you're in, that's why I think people look older or younger. You ever see a woman who works usually at a grocery store and she has the 80s haircut still? And you're just like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? It ages you. In the same way, Vsauce did a whole video on this, by the way. Vsauce did a whole video on this where he talked about are people aging differently? He said it's not that we're aging that differently. It's that our fashion is a really big part of it. Millennials, generally speaking, enjoy Gen Z fashion. So they tend to look younger, even if they aren't technically younger in many ways. Okay. She is not singling Gen Z fashion necessarily. When I first saw Hassan Piker, I thought he was in his early 20s because he was painting his nails. Because I knew that was a younger boy thing to do. When I found out he was in his 30s, I was like, because he wasn't painting his nails because he likes his nails painted. All the men who paint their nails because it's trending, they're trending with the youth. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing to do trending. It just maybe would make me think you might be younger than you are. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, she's signaling Gen X. This lady here, it is giving Gen X. I agree with this. Yeah. So again, there's no judgment, but I think the reason it feels like judgment is because people do value looking young because that is what has been conditioned into many of us to want to look like. And that's what we need to deconstruct and talk about. But I just want to say, you get to look pretty in whatever bubble you're in. If you went to a super gothy place where the people were wearing pounds of makeup and cool eyeliner and lots of lipstick and piercings everywhere, to somebody else, that is definitely not it. And to other people, it's it. So it just depends on the bubble you're in. Plus, okay, this is the key. Plus, health and grooming and expressing functionality. And I don't mean functionality in an ableist way. I mean reliability, again, not in an ableist way. Okay? And that's a big part of this. Now, the reason people always say to me, they're like, ew, you're so pale. Why are you so pale? Sometimes I'll get those comments because I wear sunscreen and I use an umbrella. That's why. It's on purpose. Not because I think looking pale looks the best, but because at this point in my life, girl, I'm going to get some cancer. And I'm not about to get cancer, okay? I'm already terrified. I have all kinds of cancers. I'm not about to get skin cancer. So sunscreen, I use an umbrella. It's literally like I'm not about to. Do you think I don't miss my freckles? Do you think I don't miss my tan? You think I don't want to go out in the sun? I used to sunbathe all the time. Girl, I used to no sunscreen at the beach all day. Okay? Now that I'm in my 30s, I sunscreen, I use an umbrella. You know? Yes, Discord says all people all the young people online have a certain lip size, hair color, trends, etc., and that signals age online but not in real life. That also plays a big part of it. You said you're right that we need to I think we have different expectations of people online too. 100%. Online fashion versus not online fashion. I'll give you an example. Here's an example. So this girly here, sweet girly, like I just think she's the sweetest being in the whole West. All these conservative girlies with crucifixes and crosses on, all these sweet conservative girlies being like, what's wrong with me? This girly does not give chronically online, and she does not have the Instagram face or the TikTok face or the TikTok fashion. But how old do we think she is?
So I would really like to know if I look my age, and I have seen people get ripped apart on the internet for asking this question, but how old do you think I am? I don't know if I should show my whole body.
There's kids in the background, if you don't hear it.
Or just my wrinkles. So I would really like to know if I look my age.
She's just the sweetest being in the whole world. Okay, again, it's like this homeschool look, this very specific homeschool look, okay?
For anyone thinking of coming on the internet and asking them to identify your age, don't do it. I posted a video yesterday. Wow. I was told that it's my hair, mostly, and my style. I get that. I kind of go for 90s vibes. I was given that a lot. It was very complimentary. My bangs are not leaving. Let's just, my side part also is not leaving. I refuse to have a butt crack part. I'm 32. I had some 45s in the comments. Ooh, wow. But yeah,
Okay, first, I do think the reason that we love comparisons is like we're shocked by a comparison. Look, I love a comparison. Okay, I'm 37 and she's 32. I think she looks younger than me, but she's dressed older than me. I'm dressed younger than her, but I look older than her. And I think like what you look like is just like also what you're wearing. And this is why I say like girlies, give yourself some options and how you want to look in the world. You know what I mean? But like she does look like a 40-year-old mom. I don't look like I have kids. I have none of the kids. Okay? She looks like she's got 4 kids. Okay? And I'm like, hello? And by the way, because chat's like, you dress younger than her. Okay, but you know what's funny? Look at what I'm wearing today. Look at what I'm wearing today. This is what I wore out today. It's just a tank top and a skirt. But I feel like the little things I do here and there make the big difference. Okay. One, I have, because it's just a tank top and a skirt. It's like nothing. I'm not even wearing nothing. You know what I mean? But I think if she wore it, she'd look like a mom because of, yes, her haircut, and yes, her earrings, and yes, everything else. But she also looks like a Christian mom. She also looks like she has gray in her hair, which I dyed my hair with henna. She looks like a Christian mom too. She doesn't just look older. She looks Christian. And I think Christians look old. The skirt also has pockets for those asking. Yeah, the skirt has pockets. Okay. But she looks very young if you really look at her. But I think Christians, they just look old. Same with this lady. So this lady's a Christian. She looks old. They look old. Something about the Christian aesthetic. And I think they want to, by the way. I think Christians, because they grow up so fast, they have kids so young. You know what I mean? Yeah, chat said, thank you, chat said your hair is giving more young than your outfit. Okay, so then I was going to mention the 2 pigtails. Pigtails automatically makes people look younger. The moment you put a pigtail on, you're automatically going to be a little younger. So that's the other part of it too. I do my hair in pigtails, but not because I'm trying to look younger. I just think it like really frames my face pretty. I feel like this is my signature look. You know what I mean? But it really just, it frames my face. I like the way it looks. But I think it signals to other people youth. So again, it's really interesting to watch people struggle a little bit and then how we react to these things. Like, I just want to tell you, like, if you don't like the way you look, that's okay. I want to say that if you love the way you look, that's also great. And I want to say it's never that simple, and it's so nuanced because, you know, we've been talking this week about bodies and aesthetics and looks. And one of the fat girlies on TikTok, fat non-derogatory, of course, Alisa, no, not Alice, Alisa. We've covered her before, and people always say, oh, her boyfriend's so much hotter than her. I think they're equal attractive. I think people who think she's less attractive than her partner is just because she's fat. But if you really look at them, they're literally the same level of attractive. That's just your fat phobia. Okay? But she's really struggled in public over her weight because people are ruthless about it. And this video is exactly why I don't judge people for their bodies, including Ariana Grande, because I always think it's more than you think. Well, let me show you the video and then I'll explain it. Okay, let me show you the video.
I don't know how to make people understand that fatness is not inherently the problem. I didn't just become fat. My mental health suffered. I prioritized my job. I have a terrible relationship with food. I had a terrible relationship with movement that all led to me becoming fat. So when you say things like, jump on a GLP-1.
Sorry, her name is Alicia. Alicia, thank you, chat.
And you'll get thin. Cool. How does that change any of those things? It fucking doesn't. That's why a lot of people jump on a GLP-1 or choose to get thin because they think it solves all of these problems when all of it solves is your fatness. I posted a lot of my workout stuff and then I had to stop posting it because some of y'all are miserable. When you see me working out in a gym and you say, oh, but your fatness hasn't changed. Who the fuck cares? Because my fatness isn't currently hindering me from anything other than fitting on roller coasters. Don't want to do that anyways. My fatness only makes you not like me. It doesn't make me not like me. On paper, I'm doing great. I'm helping my mental health. I'm treating my ADHD. I've changed my relationship with food. I'm moving more consistently. If this body wants to change, she fucking will. But I'm not going to put the pressure on this because she is not the problem. My brain is the problem. Me being thin doesn't solve all of these things. It just makes you fucking tolerate me more. You want me to take a GLP-1, which we have no idea how that's going to impact my body, which currently right now on paper is doing really well, and you want me to risk that just so I can become thin. How does that make any sense? Y'all are pissing me off with that.
Okay, 100% support her and the way she feels, because I do think this is playing a big role in how we're having these conversations. Like, again, when I was on my journey of having a good relationship with my whole self, when I was becoming a whole human being, physical health is a part of it, but I couldn't even start to tackle what my body looked like or what state of my body was in until I got my mental health under control and my financial health and all these other things. So for me, like, I had gained a significant amount of weight and people were like, oh, and I was just like, okay. And okay, but also it didn't stop me. Like, I was still posting sexy photos. I was still living my life. I was still dating. I was still fucking. Like, I was still working. Like, being bigger didn't change anything. It just changed how people reacted towards me and then how much they congratulated me when I lost the weight again. And I was just like, now my weight fluctuates and I fully accept that this is a part of my life and it's important. Hold on. I gotta ban this person for being anti-vegan in the chat. Okay, I will ban anti-vegans in this chat. Thank you. When I think about my relationship with my body, even now that I'm married, we have a strict no body shaming rule in this marriage and open discourse and conversation about our bodies. There's nothing off the table in terms of conversation, but neither of us are interested in policing each other's bodies. nor our relationship with food. If there is a red flag, one of us can speak. Obviously, we can talk to each other about anything, but we don't have any rules about our bodies. So if we gain weight or lose weight or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Chess says, keep forgetting you're married. Honestly, I forget I even exist outside of this bedroom sometimes. So, you know, but I think that's really important. That's like a really safe space to have with people, because the world is so judgmental about what you look like. Like, I mean, people will literally say to you like, oh, do you think your relationship like isn't as good because like one of you is fatter? And I'm like, not to me. They've never said that to me, but like somebody, so they might have those conversations around me to other people, are like, do you think their sex life is failing because of this? Or do you think their kids are this? Or do you think like they got fat after pregnancy and didn't swing back? Or, oh, do you think like, oh, he's like too fat? And I'm just like, okay. Again, when talking about people's bodies, you are not a better person because you're skinny, but the reflex we have is to compliment people when they lose weight. Like, oh my God, you look so good. You lost so much weight. That is a fat phobic lesson we've learned. Now, if somebody came to me and said, oh my God, I've been working so hard on losing some weight, feeling better in my body, then you can say, oh my God, congratulations, you accomplished a goal of yours. Right? Chet says, my mom's first words after I told her I was getting a divorce were, is it because you've gained weight? I believe you, girl. You said, not even joking. I believe you. I hear that shit all the time from people. Yeah, I hear that shit all the time from people. 100% real. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Why I don't comment on Ariana Grande's body or anybody else's, because there's just so much stigma, and that's why I have to trust people to take care of themselves. Now, people say the same thing about Alicia, like, oh, she's out here. She's like, you know, fat in public, God forbid. And she's inspiring people. She has 6 million followers. Oh, you can't even see this. 6 million followers. And she's inspiring people to be fat and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, it's none of my business. Have fun, girl. You know, this is her husband. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's so much hotter than her. They literally are the same level of attractive. Look, that is the same level of attractive. You just don't see it because you're fat phobic. Look at them. Like, really look at them. They're both attractive. Okay, but they're the same level of attractive. I really, truly believe fat phobia is so rampant that you will just think skinnier people are more attractive because they're skinny. And it's just like not true. I'm telling you, they are the same level of attractive. But the way the internet like drags this couple, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, anyways, okay. And then they act like, oh my God, girl, you're so lucky you got him. He's the prize. Why is he the prize? Why is he the prize? All of that is fat phobia. All of that narrative is fat phobia. Why is he the prize? Oh, because he's in shape? Oh, because he works out? She works out? You know what I mean? It's just stupid. Anyways, okay. Next. Okay, so then you've got this video here. This is a funny one. Okay, this one's a little funny. So then you get girlies like this on the internet. It's like, girly, you look 40.
I'll replace. Energy is too expensive for bad investment.
I'm actually 45.
And then she ends up being 5 years older than he thought she looked, because he thought he was insulting her. Girl, you look 40. And I do think you guys are ruthless. Like, I do think the internet's ruthless. So you know how Chelsea said on some of these videos, people will post pictures of themselves saying like, oh, I'm 30, you're this old. Oh, I'm this old. Hold on, let me see. Oh no, I lost my timestamp. Hold on, did I lose it? Hold on. Oh no. Oh, wait. Oh, I lost it. Shoot. I actually had examples pulled up. Wait, did I accidentally lose them? No. Wait. Oh, no. Fuck. I think I lost it. Well, usually they're in the comment section and it'll be like, I'm 45, I'm 47. And I do think that's so rude. And honestly, if I was you, I'd be like, what is wrong with you? But here's what I think is wrong with them. Are you ready? I think they have high egos like Tyler Catastrophe. Tyler Catastrophe thinks he's better looking than he is. And that makes people not trust his judgment because he can't see reality. It's not to say he can't be confident, but it's to say you can't be narcissistic. The only kind of narcissism that works is on people it works for people who are validation seeking. Otherwise, for all of us who have healed and grown, we don't like it in anybody. We don't like the feeling of like high ego. So when girlies are in the comments like, I'm 52, meaning you look old and I look young, ew, that's not cute. That's gross. Like, that's not being a girl's girl. Like, this girl is coming to the internet and talking about her insecurity about her looks, and your response is to be like, I look younger than you. So I agree with Chelsea Fagan when she made that point. Like, that's gross. Okay, Tyler Catastrophe getting on the internet and saying like, I'm sexy, I'm great, I'm amazing. Like, relax, okay? It's like the high ego thing. And again, I do think we seek validation. Like, my worry for Shan when she talks about wanting people who are out of her league, which I don't even think that exists. I don't actually believe in it, for the record. So just my personal opinion, there's no such thing as out of your league physically. I don't believe in the narrative. I think the narrative is bullshit, but that's because I think love is more than the body you inhabit, but that's my personal opinion. That's the way I live my life. I'm also pansexual and queer, so obviously those things don't make any sense to me, and I'm disabled, so this just doesn't make sense to me. But when Shan says dating men who are out of my league, like maybe I have to do more in person, or maybe that's what you can do, you're saying something that's weird. You're saying something that insinuates that there isn't even a league to begin with. Why do we have leagues? Why does this league exist? Who's conforming to this league? But I think that's why I've always disliked Shan and Jared's work together, because I do think they buy into that narrative of hierarchy when it comes to beauty, which I don't like. So everyone on the channel is pretty. Everyone on the channel is really well groomed. Everyone on the channel is, they look a certain way. They look, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Then look at this. La 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 la. Okay, so here's an example of then when millennials and people kept coming to the internet saying like, can you tell I'm so my age? And then Gen Zers were clapping back, and then it was a whole discourse. Okay, so here's an example of one of them.
I'm 34.
So she says, I'm 34, and he says, we can tell.
I'm 33. Can you tell?
And then everyone's, okay, then there's like something like this that happens, which is even a whole thing.
I'm a little older than I look. Probably would underestimate my age. How old do you think I am?
My guess would be like 50.
50? Oh, no, see, I'm 43.
43, okay.
Yeah, most people think I'm like 30, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want this to be a skit so bad. I'm
a little older than I look. Probably would underestimate my age.
Okay, so here's the problem. Okay? Here's the problem. Yeah? He set himself up for failure by telling the guy, I look much younger than I am. So then the guy over-guessed, right? Discord said I still prefer words like cocky or arrogant over narcissistic. A narcissistic in the traditional sense just means ego. Narcissism, personality disorder is different, but narcissistic is the accurate way to use that. Like, we're all narcissistic. We all have ego. So I struggle if I should keep the original word or if I should change it because of the way the internet misunderstands the narcissism word. But high on ego, like cocky's fine, arrogant's fine. Narcissistic works for me because I think of narcissists. The idea of looking into yourself in the mirror, like being obsessed with yourself, being like high ego on yourself, like that's what I think of when I think of like narcissistic. Like, hey, you're being like really fucking narcissistic, like into yourself. But I get it. Not everybody has that association. But yeah, Chet said, and technically there is a healthy narcissism for self-preservation. Sure, like we need our ego to actually keep ourselves in check and to have a sense of self. So, there's this whole part of it that's important. It just, words are interesting. So I don't know if this is fake. I don't know if this is a skit, but I do think that sometimes we it's like, I've done this to myself too, where I used to make like 30K a year. And when I started to make more money, I was like, oh my God, I make so much money. And someone's like, hey, do you make good money? I was like, yeah, I make a lot of money. And they were like, oh, like 500,000 a year. And I was like, no. And they're like, well, you said you made a lot of money. But that's because to somebody making 22K a year, anything above 50 was a lot of fucking money. You know what I mean? So it also sets people up in their bubble to have an idea of what things mean and what words mean and how it's perceived. But it is kind of funny, like what words we use to express ourselves, to convey ourselves, to even build community, like around these conversations. So let me show you this as an example. This is the other side of this dilemma, right?
I'm 18. Ha ha ha. I look like I'm 12. Blah, blah, blah. I know. Just get that out of the way now. But I have a story to tell you about that. So today, my mom and I went to go get my TSA pre-check clear thing, whatever setup. And the lady helping us looked at me and was like, do people ever tell you that you look really young for 18? And I was like, yeah, all the time. She said she gets that too, and she has her whole life. And she said she doesn't even look her age now. She's in her mid-50s. I'm telling you, I probably would have placed her not above 42. But she said that it's been happening to her whole life too, and that just kind of, we talked about it, and I realized people make it seem far more crazy and uncommon than it really is. I genuinely did not think that I looked that much younger than I was until people on social media started pointing it out and calling me crazy. And
again, because I grew up around homeschoolers, okay, if you hang out with homeschoolers, some of them do look very young for their age. Maybe not this young, but I did go to her profile and I looked through her photos. She is graduating high school. She's heading into college. She's a senior, I think, and so she is,
calling me a liar and saying that I have all these things wrong with me, when really, I don't think it's that outlandish. There isn't one way you're supposed to look at a certain age. You know what I mean? And
you know what I would be terrified of? I'd be terrified if this girl did like OF or something. I'd be like, nah. Because the clientele that would be attracted to this, absolutely not. But she is and does seem to be 18 based off of her photos and stuff. Like, I see it. She's like athletic. She's skinny. She doesn't have any fat in her body, no boobs, no hips. So she's automatically going to look younger. Look, she's getting a tattoo done. Woo woo. But yeah, she just looks like a very young person. And this is the reverse of it. So people like her might want to try to age themselves up and look older. But I'm saying it's always about how you're treated. And I think it's interesting. Now, here's another example of somebody who looks young for their age, because this is something. Okay, let me show you the video and then I'll talk to you about it.
One of the bad things about looking young for your age, and not being that young, is that you will get hit on by really young people. Okay, I was at the gym the other day and there was this guy that came up to me and, he was interested. He was talking to me or whatever. And he asked me what my age was. I told him that I was turning 29 because, I'm 29 now. And this dude was literally 16. Like, I'm 13 years older than you. That's almost your age. Like, what? Yeah, that's why.
Okay, I had the realization when that stopped. Young men used to hit on me and I'd be like, what are you doing? And it finally stopped and I was relieved. Now, a lot of older women, they still want the validation of younger men finding them attractive. I do not have that experience because I am not attracted to young people. They look like kids to me. So why would I need the validation that a child finds me attractive? That's why I think Charlize Theron bragging about fucking that 26-year-old or whatever he was and call her daddy was like, that man is walking, high as a kite or whatever. It's like, why would I want the validation of a boy in his 20s? You know what I mean? Like, why would I want that validation? I don't get it. Like a 21-year-old boy, like what do I want that validation for? And so I think this is a part of deconstruction and introspection. And I do think it's unlearning patriarchy. I do think that had I maybe not done that work, maybe I would have thought differently. Maybe I would be dating 21-year-olds, but I just couldn't even imagine it now. Because it's like this girl. It's like this girl, like she's 18 and some men out there are like old enough. You know what I mean? Old enough, like legal is old enough. Like, girl, with peace and love, no. You know what I mean? Absolutely not. And so I'm just glad it's done. I'm glad that young men don't hit on me anymore. And I'm just glad it's over. Now, who knows what it was? It did technically stop around the time that I got engaged and I started wearing a wedding ring, but I'm pretty sure it would have stopped anyways. I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive. It's the way I hold myself in public. Like, I highly doubt the ring is keeping people away, but young men in particular, no, which is nice. Okay, so anyways, now we're on the home stretch, girlies. We're on the home stretch, okay? I want to show you this TikTok. Autistic girls don't get pretty privilege.
Autistic girls don't get pretty privilege in the same way that neurotypical girls get pretty privilege. Pretty privilege for an autistic girl usually looks like delayed abuse. Your looks tend to slow down people being cruel to you because of your autistic traits, but they don't stop it. Eventually, people realize that you're autistic because you are, and then you just get treated like every other autistic person in the world. So yeah, I do get that you can be autistic and have pretty privilege, but I think it just looks a lot different.
she is so pretty, but there's no way men don't think she's weird. She doesn't blink enough. She has crazy autistic eyes. I get it. I do too. My partner calls them bug eyes. And her tone of voice is so monotone. I 100% believe her. I know it. The way she acts, the way she monotone, the way she's so pretty. But the moment she talks, you're like, and you feel that. You really feel people's reaction. You know what I'm saying? And then Chad asked me about women hitting on me. Girl, there's not enough women in the world for people to be hitting on me in random places. In queer communities, they were hitting on me just fine. During lockdown, I was going on dates with girls. But it's not like in public women have ever approached me outside of a lesbian club. And I haven't been in one of those in like a long time. Okay. Next video from hers. A lot of autistic people are attractive and unaware of it. Okay, this is our last video on this topic.
A lot of autistic people are attractive and unaware of it. And a lot of people struggle to comprehend like how that can happen, so I'm gonna explain. Number one is we miss social cues. So when people compliment us or flirt with us to signal that they find us attractive, we could easily miss those social cues.
Okay, as an autistic girly, I was really into reading books and I read a lot of smutty books. And what those books gave me as an undiagnosed autistic girly growing up was the confidence of a mediocre man, which I do not seem to have now when it comes to my job, but I always seem to have when it comes to dating and flirting. Because I'm also Taurus, who's aggressive. It gave me a confidence that just made me feel attractive my whole life, even though I knew I was kind of ugly. And I was like, cool. And like, this made me feel like Superwoman, where I was like, I know how to move my body. I know how to bend over and pick up a soda bottle off the ground. I know how to look for a book at a library and look like I'm, you know what I'm saying? And that was a skill I learned about how to move my body. And I didn't know I was autistic. So of course, I'm taking this so fucking seriously, girls. I'm reading these books like they are a training manual. Okay. I'm like literally reading it like it's the Bible. Okay. Trust me when I say I learned basically everything I know about sex from reading about it and then trying to do it with partners. Because I was like, I read this in a book once. Do you want to try it? And trust me, when you say that to a man specifically, they're like, a girl who wants to try something she saw in a porno or read in a book, like that shit is like mind blowing to men, because I wasn't playing any of these like, well, she won't they games. I was just like, I like you, you like me, you want to have sex? At 22. I waited till I was 22 and then it was off to the races, girls, okay? I was like a student. So it always shook me to my core when my non-autistic friends struggled to flirt or date. And I'm like, you're not even leaving yourself open. I would go to like the store, like Target, with like my friends, and I would be like this. I would be like moving through clothes and I'd be looking around. And if I made eye contact with someone, I'd be like, you know, like smile, like just even like a little like head nod, whatever. And boom, the opening is there. My friends would be like this. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I just don't want to. And I'm like, okay, but like you keep complaining about how you're single and nobody will talk to you. You gotta open look up. And they're like, and they're not even like homeschool shy girlies. They're just like, I don't know. They're going through their own stuff. Okay. And I'm saying, look, if you want to be talked to, you got to give room to be talked to, or hear me out. And this is important, because these are not social situations in which people are talking to you when you're not giving the signal. Those experiences exist too. Those are separate. Okay, so just for my girlies, these are situations in which you're trying to figure out how to signal openness, but you don't know how to, and the men won't approach unless you do. Which is, okay, I know a lot of us are used to men just approaching at the worst times possible. That's not this. Okay, I use eye contact. Okay, that's what I use, right? Discord said, I think they're being overcautious. If you're talking about my friends, they're being insecure. Because I know my friends, they're not cautious. They don't think they're worthy. They don't think they're worthy of love. That's the deep truth of a lot of my girlfriends. They don't think they're worthy of approaching. Even though they're beautiful, educated, successful, they don't think they're worthy. Like I said, I had the confidence of a mediocre man to think that I was pretty enough to be approached or to invite a man to approach me. And specifically, we're talking about like men and women. So when I say I was autistically like a student of flirting, this is what I mean. I took it very seriously that if I wanted a guy I liked to like me, I would have to let him know I liked him by either approaching him, asking him out, shaking him to his core, and doing something by turning the gender expectations on its head. Or I would have to do something to allow him to like play that role. You know what I mean? So again, like it depends. So my girlfriends that really struggle with this, they think they're unlovable, or they think they're not the standard, or they think even if they are a standard, they don't want to come off like one of those girls. So another layer of this is I'm the slutty friend. I'm the person of color slutty friend. All my white friends are the white girls who do not do that. So mind you, there is that level of this where they just go, Brittany has boobs and Brittany has hips and Brittany is one of those girls. Not that my friends would ever sex shame me or slut shame me, but the obvious category was there. I'm not saying my friends would think this about me. I'm saying it's true, whether we like it or not, that in the social context of things, if we're doing hierarchical games, my level is lower in the hierarchy of standard of women than theirs because they hold out. Versus I'm like, fuck it. So that is patriarchy. And my friends would never sex shame me for this. I'm saying it's just the truth of what the social expectation is. And some of my friends still are deconstructing patriarchy. So they really struggle. They don't want to be seen as the girl who sleeps around. Versus even though it's not even technically true about me, but it is like true enough that I've had like a dozen or so sexual partners. They don't want that. They don't want that reputation. Versus I was like, fuck that. I do not care. Like, I do not care that, I've had a dozen or so sexual partners. Like, what do I care? You know what I mean? But that's from their perspective. They would never want their number to be, you know what I'm saying? They wouldn't even necessarily tell people their number, even if the number is like 2. So that is at play. But as an autistic girly, you know what I mean? Wait, why are you saying sorry that happened? Wait, why? What happened? Wait. So sorry that happened, Britt? Wait, what happened? Wait, no. Nothing. Wait. Nothing happened. I guess something socially happened. I'm not explaining that. Well, hold on. I'm trying to explain this like I'm explaining to you math. Does that make sense? That's why I love this topic, but it's hard to talk to people about because I look at it like math. And then I'm like, oh, so humans do this, and then humans do this, and people think this. So I have to make a decision about what I want to do. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, I'm being very matter of fact. That's why I think people don't like these topics like I like them. Because like when Chelsea Fagan says like, oh, this isn't like good content, I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun content though. I want to know who thinks I'm ugly and who thinks I'm not ugly and how that plays into how I socialize. And then I want to decide how much I want to rebel. When I was a kid, my parents would say, if you do this, you'll get punished. And I would say, what's the punishment? And they'd say, what? I'm like, what's the punishment? So I know if I want to break the rules. That's how I feel about all of this. Oh, what's the rule? Okay, if I sleep with how many people, I'm a what? I'm a slut? Okay. And if I sleep with this many people, does it regardless? What about if they're women? No? Okay. And then what are the rules if I do my hair short? Okay. And if I dye my hair blue, what's the rule? And then I'm still going to dye my hair blue and fuck every gender and still have some fun. But at least I know the consequences. Because what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, you guys are following a script. This is my autism at play. This is like, okay. And I say, okay, so these are the rules. And then I have the power to decide to break the rule or not. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go to her next point.
And have them just fly over our heads. Number 2 is we don't value external feedback. So even if 100 people come up to us and tell us that we look beautiful and amazing, if we don't feel it ourselves and we can't see it ourselves, we will struggle to understand like what everyone is talking about.
That feels very subjective based off the person. I am very internally motivated. I don't know how you feel about this on the autistic scale, right? I am very internally motivated. So I do take feedback, but I take it very like, you think my nose is too big? What's big about it? Oh, it's bumpy. Do you think it's bumpy? Do you think my nostrils are big? I've been told they're big. Oh, you do think they're big. Okay, that kind of hurts my feelings, but I think you're probably telling me this because I don't look like a Disney princess, right? Okay, don't look like a Disney princess. Do I look like a Disney prince? Aladdin also has a big nose with flared nostrils. No, that's not attractive? My bad. Okay, not into Aladdin. Got it. Okay, what if this, that's like my brain. It's not that I haven't felt insecure. It's not that I haven't cried about the way I look. It's not that I haven't beaten myself up about the way I look. It's just that at some point you have to accept that it's not the way people think it is. It's not the way we've been told it is, but it is that way for some people. Okay? So I don't know about her and what she means and how you guys relate to this. I am internally motivated, but I still can get my feelings hurt. Okay?
3 is we have trouble accurately perceiving our mask. So to other people, we might come off like very confident and flirtatious and like the life of the party. But when we know like how we feel underneath and how much effort we're putting in to like present that persona, we only really see what's underneath and we don't understand how we come across to other people.
It's a hit or miss for me. It depends. Because I do have a mask that's very extroverted and sexual and funny. But I also like, sometimes like even my partner, I'll say this, or even on stream, sometimes you guys are like, you'll find out like I was really tired that day and they're like, oh my God, I didn't even notice. And I'm glad. I don't want you to have to notice every day I'm tired as a chronically ill girly. You know what I mean? It really brings down the mood. Not being ableist, it just brings down the mood, brings down my mood. But when I'm socializing and very extroverted, people thought I was extroverted my whole life, but I would be so exhausted. I would be like dying from the amount of socializing I was doing. So then I would go home and recoup my spoons. And it wasn't until later where I realized my personality is different than how I gain spoons. So, okay, I see this. I see what she's saying here.
So other people might, like find us very desirable, but we're not going to see that because even though we're trying to be that and trying to mask like that, we don't really see our mask that well. And number 4 is we get told so much how our minds and our personalities don't fit into society like in the way that they're expected to. So we can,
including but not limited to me asking men out. Reminder that on my autistic brain, when I read that men often don't get asked out, I was like, oh, I'll just ask men out. And I didn't realize I did realize I was being perceived as a rebel and a free spirit. And I did realize because I got the feedback that like Brittany just does whatever she wants. But if I could do whatever I wanted from birth, I don't think I'd have PPD or depression or any of these other things because I was still fighting the script. As I was rebelling and doing whatever I wanted, which was the perception, I was in an inner battle where I was tormented by my own existence and whether or not I should kill myself. Because 2 things were happening at once. I mean, I was having the best sexual experience of my life, and I was in one of the most toxic relationships of my whole existence, right? Like 2 things happen at once. I am not the kind of person that has like a linear experience. Everything is happening at the same time. I'm having the most freedom. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I'm also the most miserable I've ever been. These 2 things have been true for me most of my life until recently, right? The last 7 years or so, I'm the healthiest I've ever been, and it is the best time of my life. I am truly like healthy versus before. I was like, guys, I was experiencing like the world in a way that was so magical. It was like out of a movie. It was out of a book. It was like a New York Times bestseller feeling of main character. Like, oh my God, this is it. This is what life is. And at the same time, I was self-harming and wanting to kill myself. And so like when you go through these motions, like people think it's one or the other, but those things were happening at the same time for me. So it's hard. Like once you get on the other side of it and you're healthier and you've done the work, you realize like, oh, yeah, you really are surviving while having the best time of your life. It's kind of ironic.
We can struggle to disconnect that feedback from like our parents.
Which, by the way, is usually portrayed in movies and books. Like I am the kind of autistic person that mirrored a lot of my life based off of the things I read. And when you've read 2,000 books and watched hundreds of movies and hundreds of documentaries, your life looks like that. The coked up drug addict who has a crazy girlfriend, but you go on amazing car, like long road trips, all the way through New York to Minnesota. And then you have sex with like 10 other people. And then you come home to write a book about it. Like that was that was basically what I thought my 20s were going to be similar to. I never did coke, but my brother always said I never really needed it, so.
And it sucks when you're in this position because people tend to think that you're playing some type of game.
Oh, yes, Discord. You were rebelling in ways that you felt safe to, 1,000%. Yes, as I am not. What's that word? Hold on. I am not. Wait, what's this word? Hold on, girls. I'm going to get it. Spontaneous. I am not a spontaneous girly. I'm a very calculated risk taker. So yes, Discord. Yes, I was rebelling in ways that made me feel safe. I always did things that to the outside world, they're like, this is the craziest shit in the whole world. But to me, it was very calculated. I was very considerate when I did my multiple road trips, jumped out of airplanes, did drugs, had lots of sex, whatever I was doing. I read about it. I researched about the safest way to do the thing I wanted to do. I mean, I have scarification on my thighs. And before someone took a blade to my thighs to do the art on my legs, we took a class run by a doctor. Okay? Like, I'm very educated about the things I do to my body because I want the experience, but I need the safety net, you know?
And that there's no way that you could not know that you're attractive, but it can happen. So if you come across someone like this, just know autistic people, we can sometimes struggle to see ourselves through your eyes.
Anyways, love all the different voices that we showed today. Love all the different bubbles. Love all the different ways they express themselves. I mean, this is just an example too. Generally, autistic people, this is a huge generalization, they tend to look younger. We tend to be younger. We tend to relate to younger people things. We tend to like cutesy things longer. We all come in different shapes and sizes, but that also is a part of, aesthetic dress, eccentric expression, comfortability and nostalgia, things that we recognize, or we don't feel maybe the societal shame of like, it's time to put away your dolls. And it's like, I guess, but also I do think there's a line in the sand in which some forms of staying too young can be negative. And I think about the man who can't grow up, like the guy who can't be dependable because he's too busy playing Spider-Man in his bedroom and he just wants to be a big kid. And then I think about those things and I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. We got to grow up. So again, responsibility looks like to me being reliable as we age, being responsible with the work that we do, and being good for ourselves and our communities. But I think there's a way to age gracefully. I think there's a way to talk about aging and ugliness and beauty and aesthetic in a way that is freeing and liberating. In the same way, there's a way to talk about sex that doesn't have to be in relation to conservatives. It doesn't have to be the sex your parent. I just saw a Christian TikTok that said having sex without the goal of procreation is not godly, that it is basically a sin. And then I had to remember that that's the bubble I came from, because it's been so long since I've been in that world that I do forget I come from a world that basically says that sex without the goal of procreation that's why Christian women don't want to have sex, because they're not allowed to even orgasm without the possibility of a kid,
Want to just a Christian married couple, heterosexual married couple, to want to enjoy sex without reproducing?
I would say it is wrong for Christians if they're saying, God, I want my benefits of your gift, and I'm going to outright tell you no to the natural function of them. If we
see, God gave you a gift and you're saying no to God. So you have to understand, like, I've been deconstructing my whole life, removing myself from the script I've been given. So of course, to my bubble growing up, they're like, oh my God, Brittany's such a rebel. I mean, even when, again, when we have these conversations, what I've had to do my whole life is what I think a lot of us are seeking. And that's why we love philosophy, is like, what is the meaning of our life and where do we belong? Do I belong chasing, should I be chasing these scripts? I think you should find the script that works for you. I think there's a good script. I think there's a healthy script. And for me, being in a Christian script was just never going to work for me. Being in a Catholic conservative script was just never going to work for me. Sometimes, even being in scripts, like certain feminist scripts, will not work for me. I was watching this feminist get interviewed this morning, and I thought I was walking into some like leftist feminist conversation for some reason. Oh, I'm so innocent. I started listening to her, and I was like, this lady's a TERF. I believe this is a TERF. I was like, I believe this lady's a TERF. I was literally like drinking my coffee, and I like spit it out, and I was like, what am I watching? And that's what everyone is connecting to a script. Everybody has a relationship with the script. I prefer a custom one that acknowledges that I am an individual and a community member. So it's about balancing the way I want to look and also making sure that my community is comfortable, but not at the expense of myself. So again, the community, but not at the expense of myself, but not at the expense of the community. Because I also understand that we live in a village, and I want the village to also feel safe when they see me, and that I'm also signaling safety, because that is the goal. Now, if you're in a village, okay, and this is my last thought on this. If you're in a village in which you existing in your most authentic self signals not safety to your community, with peace and love, you need to move. The greatest form of liberation you can give yourself is moving when able to, hopefully near friends or family, or finding an online space that allows you to travel without leaving your village. Because I do think it will eventually feel too suffocating for you to have to pretend to be someone you're not for the long run. I just don't think it's good for your skin, you know? And I want more for you. I want you to find that village. So again, I think it's doable. I don't think it has to be perfect. I don't think you actually physically always have to move, but I do think you have to either, you know, spiritually move or physically move, but you have to go to a place that allows you to be, to the best of your ability within reason, someone who signals safety and someone who gets to be themselves. Okay, I think that's really important. So I guess the whole point of showing you guys this segment was it is one of my special interests. I find it very educational and helpful, and maybe it can help some of you, especially as we move into summertime. I know there will be a temptation to have a summer body. I just want you to know the summer body is a myth created by marketing campaigns to make you buy new clothes every season, to take weight loss drugs every season. And I just think you should do what you're going to do. And look, maybe this was highly inspired by the fact that when I left the house today, I was wearing a skirt. My legs are very hairy right now. And I laughed at myself. I was putting on my shoes because I just thought 22-year-old Brittany would never. 22-year-old Brittany would have killed herself before she left the house with hairy legs. And 37-year-old Brittany is like, anyways, and I'm moving on with my life. So maybe it was heavily inspired by that. You know what I mean? Maybe I just wanted everyone to have a little reminder that you get to choose which script you like, and you get to rewrite your script if none of the ones that come with the program are good enough for you. You know? Life is, you're here for a very short time and you deserve to have the life that works for you. That's what I believe. Okay, let's take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to watch this amazing video that I'm sure is going to be fabulous based off of the comments and your suggestions to watch it. Let's take a 5-minute break so I can grab a snack. I'll be right back. Do I sound like a flight attendant? Be right back. Buckle in. Get ready for this magic carpet ride. I'm Genie. That's a Aladdin reference. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Da, 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 dum. Okay, pausing in 1, 2, 3. First of all, I grab my stack. Protein. Caramel coffee flavor. 15 grams of protein. Okay? So we can grow big muscles like women who fight the bear in forest. Okay? Drink the fuck out of this. All right. Chad said, what happened to the song that sounded like the underwater level in Super Mario Bros? That's Samantha Dragonati. That's a different artist. And I should play her music next. This is Elvin. They're two different artists that I show on my channel. But I think I know I know which one you're talking about, but that one's Samantha Dragonati. Okay. Chat says, how do we know when we should keep our values consistent or whether we should update them? When they're no longer serving your joy. When they're out of sync with your values, you know? Is it good? Oh, it's the best. This drink? Oh, it's the best. It's so good. Ha! Chat said, how do you say woman who fights bear in forest in Croatian? Girl, I'm not at that level of Croatian yet. I'm still beginning. No. I'm still doing the basics. I'm at the beginning stages of like, how do I buy this? Or how much does this cost? Or I would like a drink. I'm at the very beginning stages of learning. So good. Okay. So does that answer your question about values? Values should update, you know? Just said, why are you learning Croatian? Because I live here and I'm immigrating here. And I would like to communicate with people and feel more comfortable here. It is genuinely, I don't know how people immigrate to countries where they don't speak the language because it is the most stressful experience of my life. I just feel like I'm trapped because I can't feel independent. I can't do anything. Like in the US, I just never ever asked anyone's permission to do anything. I just did it. You know, I was so independent, and here it's a lot harder. Like, I can't trust that, like, I'm communicating correctly. I don't always know if people are, like, saying the right thing or we're understanding each other, going to the doctor's offices, you know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that feels very exhausting. Like, I don't know how people do it. I think that's why I've always been very empathetic to people who have immigrated places, especially since a lot of my family did. And, you know, my grandpa was, like, 102 when he died, and he never learned English. Like, you know, he's lucky his grandkids translated for him because that's stressful. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Like, I can't live with that anxiety. I don't know how people do it. It's very stressful. So I'm going to learn this language or we better move because, like, your girl is going to be, I cannot rely on my husband to do anything. Could you even imagine me being a girl who has to rely on her husband to do everything? Not gonna be my life, girlies. Not gonna be my life. Okay, not gonna be my life. I did not sign up for this dependence. But I will temporarily be grateful that my partner is willing to do so much for me. He does everything. That's what I'm saying. He has a full-time job just translating all of my stuff and doing everything, but this cannot be my life. So I'm gonna learn this language or it's gonna kill me. Okay. Now. Genetically modified skeptic made a video called, well, he changed the title multiple times, but it used to be why I stopped arguing, but now it's debating them ruined my life, so I quit. And then this said, YouTube atheist community organizer is the best fucking arc. And I think this video is going to be very well received by this audience. And you guys asked me to watch it. So let's watch it together. I'm excited because I do think I have a feeling this conversation is going to be the conversation I've been wanting to have with you guys for a while about this. So let's explore together.
Do you ever feel like the world is burning all around you and yet you have no real power to put out the fire?
Why is it on me? Sorry.
Do you ever feel like the world is burning all around you and yet you have no real power to put out the fire? Like, you're sitting in your house, you know your neighbor's house is burning to the ground right this second. The fire is spreading to your house, and all you can manage to do is tell some moron in the comments on Instagram, yeah dude, fire is actually really dangerous. It can kill you. My neighbor is probably deceased right now because of fire, okay? Yeah, that combined feeling of hopelessness and compulsion to act was one of my main emotional states for years. And a lot of that was related to the fact that I have been arguing on the internet on a regular basis since 2016. Like a lot of people who are raised as good little conservative evangelical Christians, once I started questioning that, the only safe place for me to express myself honestly was online, in forums and chats where
Pause. The trap? It's a trap. Okay, I ran a Discord a while back that was like the safest place on the internet for philosophy nerds to just express themselves. And let me tell you, the way years later people were relieved to find out that I deleted and reset the Discord, because the way people poured their hearts out on the internet, sometimes I think we forget that this shit will come for you, but we want a safe space to express ourselves so deeply that it's nice to have a reset. But that's why I'm pretty forgiving of people. But I also tell you, put it in a journal. I promise you, I swear to God, put it in a journal. Stop putting it on the internet. Because again, like, as much as it feels like this is the only place I can be heard as a girly who was Christian or Catholic growing up, and I went on the internet to MySpace to talk to people about being gay, let me just tell you, I think the internet, or I think the universe, that my internet footprint is basically gone. Because, like, you know what I mean? You're really going through stuff. You're really like having a lot of self-harming thoughts and just like a lot of like existential dread. And the internet doesn't need to know about it. But I will say it can be very helpful to be anonymous and to reach out to people and hear other people's opinions. So, you know, balance.
I could remain anonymous. I honestly can't tell you whether I actually wanted to argue about religion when I first started questioning. I wanted to talk about it, I know that, but the opportunities most available for me to engage on that topic were arguments. Threads where arguments started were the most popular on any—
And don't get me wrong, I read all these. I don't post on Reddit ever, but I read the fuck out of Reddit posts. So it is kind of funny. Like every time I Google something, like even Croatia drama, I Google it on Reddit to see what Croatians are saying. So it is kind of funny that there's something about it that I'm attracted to, which is why I know a part of my brain will always enjoy debate bro from a distance. From a distance. They're too toxic, but I do love a debate.
given platform I was on. So that's just where I found myself processing my thoughts about religion. And then I started a YouTube channel where I argued about religion. I put everything I had into getting good at arguing. I quit my job and became a full-time arguing on the internet guy. And I kept up arguing in forums and chats for 9 straight years. But in April 2025, I had an experience that changed all of that and set me on a different course. I got invited to go on Piers Morgan Uncensored.
I really think less of everybody who goes on Piers Morgan. I do. Every single person that is willing to talk to this man, I think less of you by at least 10%. No matter who you are, no exceptions. 10%, I think less of you.
As an atheist debate guy. Okay, I did start getting argument fatigue further back than that. It was exhausting doing the same back and forth again and again, always having to restrain the worst parts of myself from lashing out at strangers, leaving every conversation drained while simultaneously feeling addicted to checking my replies on my posts, and most importantly, seeing no positive change in the world as a result of my actions.
This is why we argue if debates change minds. I don't think so. I'm in the camp that they do not change minds. All they do is facilitate probably maybe a light bulb moment, epiphany moment, maybe bubble pop moment for you, but you're already on that journey. But I think debates are ego events. I think they're theater.
But even still, in April of last year, I accepted an invitation to go on Piers Morgan's YouTube channel. The topic was the future of the Catholic Church as they selected a new pope, and I was not told who else would be on with me. Honestly, I dreaded the show as the day approached because it's just god awful, and I really did not actually want to be a part of it. But
this is the trap of being successful on the internet. The best way to be successful, look, Hassan's done it, Destiny's done it, Myron's done it. So many people go on Piers Morgan because it's just another part of your resume. I don't do it because I don't want my resume to look like that, but it will stop me from having opportunities. I will make less money. I will be less popular. This is why I say, like, being ethical is really hard in the world that rewards unethical behavior in order to go viral, which is all that Piers Morgan is. Piers Morgan is an unethical person who makes bad content in order to go viral, to piss you off, to host horrible people. I mean, there was a panel with, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. A black man, a journalist, and one of the other guys on the panel, he was like, do you want to call him the N-word? Like, do it. They're basically egging him on. He's like, do not let him call me the N-word right now. I was like, stop. Everybody stop. I was like, this is content. It is bad content, okay? And I just sat there, I was like, this is gross, okay? And it's that kind of stuff that I just think is so evil. So yeah, I think 10% less of everybody who goes on Piers Morgan. Was it Mark Lamont Hill? Was it him? I wasn't sure if it was him or Van Jones. Van Jones is always on Piers Morgan. I wasn't sure if it was Van Jones or Mark Lamont Hill. But either way, oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Some friends assured me that it would be a decent chance to get some exposure and that participating to give pushback was not too ethically compromising. The day before the recording, I saw this post from my friend Will Judy, the founder of Secular Houston and a Texas state director at American Atheists. Texas was getting ready to pass a bill to mandate that all Texas public school classrooms prominently display the 10 Commandments, you know, from the Bible. I had one chance to testify against it, but I'd have to cancel my Piers Morgan appearance. So what would it be? Go on Piers Morgan, argue with a right-wing crazy and maybe get some clout, or go to the Capitol and try to fight against religious overreach in the real world? I chose to go to the Capitol. And
yes! Ooh! Okay, King. Okay, I was nervous there for a second. You really had me going, good for you.
Invite my audience to join me. You might already know this part, but that experience was, I have officially been going about this for 12 hours. You left your house at 5 in the morning. So that means that you've been doing this for well over, over 12 hours. 2:30 in the morning now, and we have people like kind of quite literally falling asleep on the floor. Still haven't even gotten to our bill, which has over 60 people registered to testify.
This has the very designed effect to make people go home because they have pets and kids and responsibilities and a job. And so if you get here at 8 or 10 in the morning to register, you can't stay until, 6 a.m.
It's opened by us as to how many roadblocks there are to actually participating in this democratic process and just how upsetting that is. Like, it's really difficult to do. If you work, good luck coming here.
I'm about to testify in front of the Texas House Public Education Committee, and I have been waiting for over 20 hours to do so, to try to fight for the separation of church and state, keeping the 10 Commandments out of being displayed, mandated to be displayed in all Texas classrooms.
Is there a separation of church and state in this country?
That's an interesting question.
This is totally broken.
Okay, can I say something? Why is it, girl, this is just for me and you. Don't let anybody else listen to me. I'm telling you right now, does he not feel more like a real person than you know who? I swear if you know who went and did this work, I'd be like, why? Is it because? I just feel like I believe him, but it's because he dedicates his life to this that I believe him. But then other people say they're fighting for people, but when I see them do it, I'm like, I just don't believe you. I just don't believe you. You know what I mean? But I believe him. You know, there's just I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
There's a part of this video where you can see my world kind of falling apart, and I follow that with my takeaways from the experience. I just got home. It's like 7 in the morning. I've been up for like 26 hours or something like that, just to give a 2-minute testimony. With how that went, I would guess it's going to pass.
Oh.
This is totally broken. What is there to be learned from this experience?
Okay, but then here's the question, okay? Here's the question. Is it because of the way they look? Like, does Hassan come out less authentic because he's pretty? And does Modified Skeptic seem more believable because he's less conventionally attractive? He's not ugly. That's not what I'm saying. But I wonder if pretty people look fake to us because we've been told through media that, like, the prettier you are, the faker you are. Like, you're a fake bitch. Like, bitch, not derogatory. Like, but don't say it. Okay. And I wonder if that's a play in this too. Or is it just because of the data, right? And I think about this all the time. Like, I think we believe prettier people, but prettier people are better liars. Because, like, that's why they get slimy. That's why Gavin Newsom looks slimy to people. Because he's too pretty. And then it becomes, like, icky. But that's why a lot of girls who are pretty people think they're evil when they're not because they're pretty. But I do think when men are pretty, there's something always slimy about it. Jared Leto, the guy from Maroon 5, Adam Levine, Hassan. Like, there's like a They always end up being fuckboys. Gavin Newsom, fuckboy. You know what I mean? Girls, in my experience, are rarely that. Pretty girls, in my experience, are rarely, in my experience, the stereotype of the mean girl. They're just pretty and have a special interest. But yeah, Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp, fuckboys. You know what I mean? And then we have this hope, though, and here's the mistake I used to make in my 20s, though. I used to make a mistake in my 20s and think that if a guy wasn't conventionally attractive, he was more chill and authentic, but that's not true either. Because the same boys who have Pokemon as their hobby will fuck you over. So it's not that either. But I think it might be a part of it. Yeah, too polished. Yeah, chat. Like if they're too polished, it looks too intentional. But then if they look too like yeah, the nerdy boys, exactly, chat. It's like, you know those girls who are like, my husband will never cheat on me because this is my husband, and he's like a nerdy guy, he likes Pokemon. And I was like, okay, girl, he's gonna cheat on you. He'll cheat on you with a Pikachu, girl, any day, girl. You know, just because he's into Pokemon doesn't mean he's not gonna cheat on you. But then imagine that you're on purpose, yes, looking like Patrick Bateman. Yes, chat. You're also, look how cultured everybody is in my chat. This is why I love you, because I don't have to, you are so cultured. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The Patrick Bateman of it all. It's just like, it's too deliberate. It's too meticulous. It's too, what's happening? Right? Anyways, just random thoughts. And this is my genuine opinion. Here's my genuine opinion. I actually think he's just more authentic. I do. More so than even, oh my God, dare I say his name? More so than the, oh my God, I'm going to do it. Okay. So we have the Gavin Newsoms and the Hassans, all questionable. We have Modified Skeptic, Alex O'Connor, and what's the other boy's name who does philosophy? Unsolicited Advice. Authentic and struggling between, okay, the middle group, which is like the Hitchens, the Repsions, the Destinies, those boys. These boys, okay, these boys authentic, these boys questionable. You know what I'm saying? I think, yeah, that's how I would look at it. I trust Alex O'Connor to be authentic, even if I disagree with him sometimes. I trust Modified Skeptic to be authentic, even if I disagree with him. I trust Unsolicited Advice to be authentic, even if I, may disagree with him. I find them to be authentic. But Repsion, Destiny, Christopher Hitchens, he's dead now. Charles Darwin, Richard Dawkins, all those people, they're like working through their issues. They're still traumatized and working through their fucking issues, right? They're all fucking weird, working through their issue, atheist weirdos. And then there's Hassan and Gavin Newsom and the really pretty guys. And I just think they're like benefiting from society's privilege, but they don't hold any value. Like, they don't hold real ethics, if that makes sense. Something like that. I don't know. Something like that.
One, this system is not built for regular people to engage in. It is not truly democratic. You can't blame people for not being engaged with the system when the system is not actually...
Yes, not Discord, YouTube chat. The authentic boys are not playing the hierarchy game, and we don't feel they're playing the game. That's what it is. Yeah, I would agree with this. I don't think any of these boys are playing the hierarchy game, but the rest are. Richard Dawkins, all these ego-driven boys, all these Hassan, everybody's playing I'm the top guy. Even Hassan recently, on the election win, he said, only social democrats from here on now, if you want any of this. What did he use? What word did he use? Magic? What word did he use against the Democrats? Insinuating that, like, he was the reason. Like, the internet is now taking this story as, like, Hassan's picks all won. Zoran's picks won. It gives credibility to both of these men. And I'm just sitting here like, ego. That Hassan can root for social democrats now, or Democrat socialists, because now, right? It's very interesting. It's very interesting the difference between like we did it together and thanks to me we got it done. It's very interesting.
democratic in the first place.
Oh, shine. He said shine. Okay, if you want any of this shine.
Christian nationalist bills like this get through because they're supported by groups and individuals with tons of money. Most people, religious or not, do not want legislation like this, but we're too bogged down trying to survive to spend time fighting it. 3. Nonprofits like Texas Freedom Network and American Atheists are the only reason any of us made it to and through this whole ordeal. Supporting them is one of the best ways I can think of to help regular people fight Christian nationalism. We, people who don't want Christian nationalism, do have the numbers. We just need support to get us plugged in. I realized that if I wanted to change anything for the better, the battle I needed to fight was not one of rhetoric. It was one of organization, building power for the plurality of regular people who already oppose theocracy and fascism. Debunking videos, and especially debate content, would never build that power. Out of curiosity, I checked in on who Piers Morgan would have pit me against on his show if I hadn't canceled. It was Jay Dyer and Steve Bannon. You know the first thing about these guys. You know there is absolutely no chance in hell that a single word I could ever say would influence these men or their cult-like audiences. They are open fascists who thrive off of gaslighting, naked bigotry, and literal...
Now, what's the difference? Hassan Piker, well, he was at Delaney Hall, begged Sean Hannity to debate him. That's the difference. So here's him saying, I would never waste my breath. And here's Hassan Piker saying, debate me, Sean Hannity. Why are you wasting your breath on Sean fucking Hannity and his cult-like audience? Because Hassan thinks he's a magical. Hassan thinks, oh, I'm going to get some of Sean Hannity's viewers to become leftists. You're so fucking kidding yourself, bro.
Violence. Talking to them is worse than pointless. Seeing that, I remember, sent this kind of shockwave through my body. In the last 24 hours, I had lived a timeline that had finally helped me see that our democracy is a lie and that debate is worth little until my people actually have the power to be heard in the first place. I could have just as easily, if not much more easily though, lived a timeline where I tried to further my aims through debate, but only ended up helping fascists get clips to promote theirs. There was no question.
Yes, this is what I've been saying. This is what I've been saying. I'm so glad you told me to watch this video. This is what I have been saying. I'm just going to be used as a tool for you to get a fucking clip in, a tool for you to push your stupid fucking edits, a tool to make you, this is literally what Steven Crowder did. Steven Crowder got a whole business model on debating college students in which he edited clips to look a particular way just to own the libs.
In my mind, I had to make a change. So I set some rules for myself. 1, no arguing in text form of any kind online. Clarifying comments about an original post are okay, but no rebutting points. 2, original posts, including my videos, cannot be centered on debunking. 3, all responses in my videos must primarily serve a story or analysis of my own. And 4, whenever possible, videos should help viewers build solidarity and community, especially through established secular organizations. Speaking of, the expert legal team at the Freedom from Religion Foundation has continued to battle the 10 Commandments bill in Texas. FFRF fights Christian nationalism on the front lines. They take legal action against unconstitutional public policies, they defend the constitutional rights of non-religious people like you and me, and protect the separation of church and state in this country. Okay. Y'all know I've been a member for almost 8 years, and if you want to support an organization which stands up for human rights and fights religious overreach in our government, go become a member yourself right now. The link is in the description and pinned comment. You may also know that I'm speaking at
That's Freedom from Religion if you guys are interested.
The FFRF National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin this October. Tickets are still available for now, and I'm excited to meet y'all there. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video, FFRF. It is so incredibly rare that creators get to work with organizations which not only align with our values, but actually inspire us to fight even harder for human rights. Y'all go click that link below and become a member of FFRF right now.
FFRF. That's so funny.
Absolutely deserve
Love it.
Month 1. So I think I've realized already that being on social media regularly is not going to work. I can restrain myself from actually replying to argument bait, but my brain still goes into debate mode. Like when I see a post from
You know what my partner said to me before when I was on my break earlier? We were joking around together and I was like, because I'm always in chronic pain. I was just like, man, I'm so grumpy. I'm so disabled. And then he was like, or you just read a comment from the internet. And I was like, listen, I gotta stop reading my comment sections. I really gotta stop reading my comment sections sometimes. But I was like, that might also be making me grumpy sometimes. It's true. Okay, my Discord knows. They see the screenshots. Sometimes I just read a comment and I'm like, ooh.
Right-wing religious person. I can put the phone down. I can keep scrolling, whatever. I cannot engage, but for hours afterward, my brain will still go into that debate mode. I'll be formulating counter arguments, in my head. And
I'm not even going to play with you that sometimes I cannot sleep at night because I am debating in my own brain. I am neurodivergent and disabled. I will not be judged by any of you. But sometimes I am up till 3 a.m. going, so listen, if your belief about creation is this, then this has to be, because guys, there is a debate, bro, that lives inside of me. And the only reason I'm healthy is because I don't do it for real. But I need you to know I'm addicted and I do it at home. Okay, I pace my kitchen arguing my own points back and forth because I want to do this. I would love to have been a debate bro in another life, but y'all are so fucking toxic. Okay? I'm ranting at the wall, bro. I'm ranting at the wall. And I wish I could have been in a healthy way. I wish I could debate ethics. I want to discuss ethics with somebody so much. I want to find somebody who can discuss ethics with me so desperately for a job. But here I am alone. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me.
Not really even in the background. I can't really focus on much else, truly focus on much else when this is going on. And so I guess until I can retrain myself to not go into debate mode, like when I see this stuff every time, I'm just gonna need to reduce my exposure to this kind of stuff. So I deleted social media from my phone and told YouTube I was not interested in seeing the right-wing videos I sometimes watch to inspire my response videos. It did not take long to realize how much more time in my day I now had, and audiobook apps became my most used immediately.
Oh my God, I literally rewarded myself the other day because I chose to listen to my audiobook versus watch another YouTube video about something. For Harry, it really inspired me to make sure that I'm getting in my audiobook / reading. So I was like, I was really proud of myself because look, to be honest with you, and I know this is hard to believe, but I love a tangible book over an audiobook because it does force me to lock in, and audiobooks just don't force me to lock in. So then I have to keep still while I listen, or I have to do something that doesn't distract me. So it is harder for me sometimes to lock into an audiobook than a video. But I will say that I'm going to go to the library, I'm going to get me a card to touch a book, and then I'm going to get back into it, girls. Because being well-read is life-saving. It saved my life to be a well-read person. It will continue to save my life if I continue doing it.
To keep up with news and topics relevant to my channel, I allowed myself just 1 hour of computer time per day to check mostly non-social media sites. Stress levels are definitely down for me, but I am bored now and am definitely craving the stimulation that the apps I deleted provide. And I'm just hoping and betting on that if I resist those cravings for the apps for like a couple of weeks, that they will dissipate, right? They did, in fact, dissipate. What I didn't expect was for long-form media, books in particular, to become so much more captivating as my brain kind of rewired itself.
What a cute doggo.
By the end of month 1, I could sit with a book for hours and kind of feel the words more deeply, if that makes sense. A couple of books that gripped me most were One Nation Under God by Kevin M. Cruz. It was my second time reading it by this time. And Black Against Empire by Joshua Bloom and Waldo E. Martin Jr.
Oh, what is this? The History and Politics of the Black Panther Party. Black Against Empire.
That one actually changed my politics significantly. It's an absolute must-read for any American, in my opinion. Books were not the only thing I spent more time on. I began volunteering with the American Humanist Association to help them build a new program to connect online audiences to real-life humanist communities. My very first video after setting my no arguing rules was a collab with the American Humanist Association's policy team, and I hoped it would be a prototype for a different kind of atheist content, not debate, fact-checking, and storytelling. Not abstract moralizing, concrete political analysis.
You know, I bet he read that Black Panther book, and then it must have really inspired him to do more work because, I mean, this is what the whole message of the Black Panthers is to me, which is like physical community effort, which is why Turb talks about doing physical effort for his community is inspired by the Black Panthers. And so that's kind of beautiful. That's really great.
Analysis, not just entertainment, a bridge between an online audience and the resources they need to build power for themselves in real life. Month 2,
Okay.
Well, the no arguing has definitely lowered my stress, but I don't go online hardly at all anymore, it feels like, and I am not talking to other people as much because of that. So, kind of feeling pretty isolated right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'd made friends with this guy, Ben, at the Capitol during the
Because look, I just want to say this out loud. Yes, it sounds really good for people to get off the internet, but you have to people have to remember, we don't always have friends and family near us. Guys, if I got on the internet, I would have nobody to talk to but my partner. Isn't that like a dream nightmare for a woman to be isolated with no one to talk to but the person she's with? And you say oh, go out and meet friends. I already have friends. They just don't live here. You know what I mean? So don't everybody throw away their phones. Okay? Some of us, we need the internet. Okay, we can't all go touch grass in this way. But if I live near friends and family and I live in neighborhoods that I wanted to be known in, then sure. But I live a very private life, even in real life. And so I don't want to do that. But okay, so just everybody, I love this. This is really good. Okay, don't throw away your phones.
Debacle.
My name is Benjamin Clodfelter. I'm a board member with the Atheist Community of Austin. I'm a disabled veteran, and I have that stipend that I get from that disability enables me to actually be a part of doing different activities.
No, chat. No, lock in. You said maybe find expats in Croatia. Guys, listen to what I just said. I already have friends. Right? I don't want to treat people like placeholders for my feelings, right? Chet says, oh, you can't make new friends in Croatia? No. I already have friends. You can't, it's funny, one of my siblings is going through this right now where he's working in a place and people want to be his friend. He's like, I already have friends. And they're like, but why wouldn't you hang out with us? Just because you're in proximity to people doesn't mean we need friends, right? That's what I'm saying. Maybe we all have different relationships with what friends are, but friends are your community. You owe an obligation to them. You have emotional labor for them. There's emergencies when you have more friends. There's budgets and time and, so I want you to remember this while you hear him talk. You can have too many friends and you can be too busy and they might not be physically in your proximity. That's why I like the internet. So I'm just giving you more options, but look how the default message is, oh, go find new friends. I already have friends. Why would I go find new friends, right? I already have friends. What I need is to put more effort into the communities I already have. What you need to do is put more community effort into the communities you have, right? So I'm just saying your online communities are just as important as your offline ones, right? That's what I'm saying.
Activism and advocacy work, and that's
what's so cool about life is you have 1,000 different ways you can custom build your life, yeah?
reasons I get to be here today.
Yeah, Taylor and I thought it was really cool that he was basically a full-time activist by choice. So we decided to start spending more time with him. Some of that time was at...
Well, hold on, chat. You said Discord friends are not the same as real life friends. When I socialize in real life, the energy exchange, I can never get on Discord. Okay, that's how I feel with in real life friends that I'm not close to. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you guys say go outside and make real life friends, that feels to me like what you feel when you think of Discord friends. Does that make sense? I'm not going to get the same satisfaction you're going to get from that because I already have friends. And if they were here, I'd be physically with them, but they're not. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. Know what you need and do that. You know?
Protests with his fellow activist friends. The loneliness did improve, but it didn't disappear. It became clearer to me just how much of my mind and my life had been devoured by...
Now, okay, here's the exception. Sorry, let me just add to this. This is important because I think it's really important. I don't want new friends, but I would love to get involved in movements. Do we know the difference? Right? Okay, Chat says, but they could become friends, but if you don't want, okay. Chat says, guys, I don't think you guys are realizing how much energy it takes neurodivergent human beings to maintain friendships, let alone make new ones. I'm trying to explain something to you to liberate you from the construct that everybody has to be your friend. You can build community with people you are not friends with. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to be your friend to feed you. I don't have to be your friend to meet you once a week to clean up streets. I don't have to be your friend to build community with you. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't need new friends. Sometimes we just need outreach programs. Sometimes we just need to go to a protest. Sometimes we need to do activism. That's what I'm saying. I would love to, and eventually when I know Croatian better, I will join groups of people doing work efforts. I will not be making new friends. My goal is not it's kind of like you're saying every guy you meet has to be a potential boyfriend. Every person I meet is not a potential friend. Sometimes they're just a neighbor. You know what I'm saying? I would love to do community efforts, but I don't want to make new friends. I already have friends. But I would love to, do protesting and stuff. So now you have protester friends, but they're not you don't need to come to my house. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Just things to think about while you're forming these ideas, guys.
Arguing, given the void that its absence created. Months 3 and 4.
Okay,
my
let's
life
see.
and my content had been growing distant from debate culture for a couple of years already, but now that I cut out arguing even more thoroughly, it became difficult for me to stop thinking about the absurdities and even dangers of that culture. I reread Black Against Empire and thought, the Black Panthers made real change in just a few years, and they did it by building real-life programs for free food, clothing, schooling, medical care, and legal defense for Black people while organizing, training, and arming their communities. They did make propaganda, but they did not sit around debating racists and capitalists all day. Just imagine if they
let's listen to that again, girls.
They did it by building real-life programs for free food, clothing, schooling, medical care, and legal defense for Black people while organizing, training, and arming their communities. They did make propaganda, but they did not sit around debating racists and capitalists all day. Just imagine if they had the same perspective which is found in most philosophy, atheist, and even progressive content. They would have achieved absolutely nothing, and probably even pacified Black Americans by pushing the falsehood that the war they were fighting against American imperialism could and would be won through the sharpening of rhetoric. And by debating imperialists, I have no doubt they would have deluded many into thinking that the weapons of imperialism were merely words, and not guns, bombs, and the men who wield them. The dominance of debate culture in the atheist world threatened not the personal peace or mental health of individuals most greatly then. It threatened the effectiveness of our communities and institutions in making positive change. This was an extremely transgressive idea in the atheist world, I thought. And so in an hours-long phone call with a friend who's not in the atheist content world, I unpacked all of this, including discussing my fear of saying any of this publicly. They asked me if that fear was strong enough for me to just go ahead and move on from this idea. No, I said, I'm having trouble even thinking about anything else. Like, I can barely even write for my channel at this point. Well, they said, if that's the only thing your brain will let you focus on, it sounds like you're going to have to write it regardless. Yeah, I put everything else down and started writing that transgressive video. Okay, not quite everything. I did decide to make a piece of satirical performance art spoofing atheist versus Christian debate culture with the great William Banks. Atheists typically support some of the things that you care about the most. Why not be friends with us, William?
Yeah! Well, guess what? I believe in God, and I support trans rights. I believe in God, and I support equality for all. I believe in God, and I support fighting you in a boxing match.
But then I locked in on my anti-debate video. This is when I found Dr. Sarah Stein Lubrano, author, activist, and scholar of social
I love her look. I love her look.
science and critical theory.
People who are on the left are sadder than people who are on the right. This is an ongoing sociological finding in almost every country on earth. Left-wing people are more sad than right-wing people. And there are a lot of reasons for this, because also left-wing people do all the things that make you sad. They read the news more, they get divorced more, they're in church less, which actually can be complicated, but sometimes makes you more sad, depends on the church. They do a lot of things that are correlated for sociology with being more sad. And also they're just unhappy with the state of the world, right? But if you are a left-wing person and you are actively doing an activism, then you are happy again. That statistically you are much happier than the left-wing person who has the same political beliefs as you, thinks the world is just as screwed up in lots of ways, but isn't doing anything. Ultimately, they are happier because when they wake up in the morning, instead of thinking, the world's on fire, they wake up and they say, the world's on fire and I'm going to do something about it today. And then they do.
As soon as I read your
Yeah. First of all, Chad goes, "Oh, you look like her." I do think we're in a similar category of aesthetics. Like, we look like each other. I wonder if she's West Asian. But also, hear what she said in case you guys couldn't hear the audio. She said, you can be sad being left because you read more, you don't go to church, all this stuff. But then if you start to do community work, you can be happy again. This is what we talked about on the back of yesterday's stream, fulfillment in your life. For Brittany, a lot of my fulfillment comes from the things that I think are important to me. right? We talked about it yesterday. That was my whole thing yesterday. Talking about ethics, talking about what's good for the world, talking about how to help people deconstruct. Like, I never had such purpose than when I realized I figured out something and I could use it to help people. And that felt so amazing to me that I was like, oh my God. And like, that's what the whole world feels like to me when I see these Black Panthers get together and feed their community. I'm like, oh my God, we can do stuff. And when I see Drew decide to, change his life like this, I'm like, oh my God, we can really do stuff. When we see Miss Shirley go and feed her neighborhood before she passed away, it's like, oh my God, we can do stuff. And like, that's what's so cool about people is like, man, we can do so much good by doing so less bad. Like, cause that's really what Drew is engaging in. Drew is engaging in an epiphany of being less bad. He noticed that his work, his sense of fulfillment was bad. And then he was like, oh, I need to be less bad. I need to debate less. I need to be online less. I need to not talk to Piers Morgan. And that made him a better person. And so that's what I mean when I say like, I want to do less bad in the world. And I think it's beautiful. I love that she said that because I think that's so true.
Book, first of all, I read it straight through as soon as I got it. And when I got to the last part, little bit of spoilers here.
Wait, what's her book called? We got to get it. Don't Talk About Politics. Is that the name of her book? Write that down. Write that down.
Through as soon as I got it. And when I got to the last part, little bit of spoilers here. I
think, have we seen an interview with her before? She does look familiar.
To the last chapter, I'm on the very last page, and you're basically doing this call to action saying, all right, if you want to act on the principles, on the ideas laid out here, then the thing to do is change your daily actions, which involves getting involved in real life community, like in Meet Space now.
Yeah, Meet Space.
And I literally stood up from my couch and went like, how am I doing that? I need to do that right now. I agree.
Wait, I got to hear that again.
Change your daily actions, which involves getting involved in real life community, like in Meet Space now.
Yeah, Meet Space.
And I literally stood up from my couch and went like, how am I doing that? I need to do that right now. I agree with this. I need to do it right now.
Yeah.
How do I do it? And we'll talk about it, but I did.
You did.
I did do that.
I feel like this video should have like, I followed Sarah Stein LeBron.
I think it's really important to note when it's your time and when it makes sense for you, because I don't want you to treat this like therapy where if I do what Drew does, then my life will be changed. He looks so happy. He looks happy because it was his time. He looks joyful because it was his calling. If you try to do this when it's not your time, you're going to see another chore on your plate, another obligation. You're not going to be a good community member. So don't do it just because they're telling you to do it. They're telling you do it if you're meant to do it. These things are the difference here, so make sure you don't push yourself to do things you're not ready to do. But reminder that when you're ready, this is a really good option.
Honest advice, colon something. It messed up my whole life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's pretty much what the video is, to be honest.
Okay, no problem. I'm on board for messing up people's lives. That's great.
So, heavily inspired by Sarah's book, Don't Talk About Politics, How to Change 21st Century Minds, I made a couple of videos about why debate is not the way to change the world and how it can, in our current socio-political landscape at least, actually harm secular left communities while helping fascists. But more importantly, I went to my friend Ben Clodfelter and said, I want to help support the atheist community of Austin. What can I do? He told me something like,
and you see how we usually pick to volunteer with something that means something to us. So I would probably want to do something with feminism, queer related, cleaning up streets. Those are like things that I think are interesting. Environmental stuff. Like that's where my brain goes. And like, that's what I want you to think about too. I want you to think about like, what is something that's important to me? Because I think you do better work if you know what I mean? If you aim that way versus feeling like, I don't know, bullied into volunteering into something you don't want. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying?
Just show up consistently and you'll kind of naturally figure that out. That's what I did, and now I'm on the board of directors. So That's what I did. Okay. I just started showing up once a week, more often if I could. Months 5, 6, and 7.
Hear that? Once a week? Once a week.
The ACA's vibe was like a queer community center where people were mostly atheists, yes, but didn't really spend much time discussing God's existence or the lack thereof.
Oh, well, Chat says, isn't there a thing in philosophy where to feel fulfilled, we want to be more altruistic? I'm not sure what you're referencing, but I would argue that none of this is altruistic. But I would argue, when I think of altruistic in the most reductive sense, I think of it like good for goodness sake. Oh, I'm not being good for goodness sake. I'm being good because I think it's right. So it's a little bit about ego. That's what I'm saying. I'm not about to volunteer because I'm trying to be a good person. I'm doing the right thing because I know it's right. That's why, like, you know, so I don't know what your relationship is with it personally, but this is why I say, like, I'm not going to do it just because it's the right thing. That's not enough for me because the right thing is subjective. I don't believe in objective morality, so I don't think the right thing exists. I think we decide what the right thing is. Altruists typically tend to be religious and they tend to believe in some higher power or objective meaning outside of self, which is why I don't usually engage with altruists, because they do tend to believe that there is a greater good, which I don't believe in as a outside of human perception, right? I don't believe in it.
Of. They had board game nights, a secular women's group, drag queen story times, and people would meet at the building to prepare for protests and do some mutual aid efforts. Honestly, this point of my no arguing experiment was really chill. Being around the ACA took up a lot of my free time, so
Yes. Oh, Chet says to Britt's point about feeling sincere and believable, he has a sweet smile. Yeah, he's so sincere to me. You know what I mean? Like he does feel that way. You said, I guess I mean more so being connected to community or the collective or the whole is more fulfilling for humans. Yeah, I think there's something really powerful there. I think when we are in harmony and there is balance and how we participate in community, we are joyful, which is why the suggestion of go make friends in Croatia is antithetical to that point, because it's now you're saying throw yourself out of balance. Right? Because I'm in balance now. If I tried to go out and find more friends, I would now be out of balance. When you're in balance with community, with being a good member, with showing up, you are able to, I think, be more fulfilled. And so what I think ends up happening in the world is because of capitalism and showing off and hierarchies, we tend to overwork and do too much to try to be the best community member instead of the right kind of community member. And going back to this question here, what is your definition of philosophy? I need to learn properly instead of understanding the white male definition. Well, this moves into philosophy. I think when philosophy is done well, the love of wisdom, when philosophy is done well, it's about meaning and balance with existence. It's about finding your place in the universe by accepting you are the universe experiencing itself in a non-spiritual way, in a literal way. We're biological creatures on a planet. So it's not about being the better, smarter, higher on the hierarchy of thinker. It's about having the humility to recognize that we're all in this together. And that philosophy allows a framework of understanding that allows you then to create a framework of ethics, which allows you to build it on a foundation of values and morals, which allows you to show up as a better community member. So the reason I like philosophy is it allows me to humble myself, to recognize who I am and what I'm doing here, and the power I have, both limited and more than I could imagine, and then allows me to then to show up with balance, you know? So as much as it sounds good, it's kind of like saying, hey, if you get a third job, you could make more money and get a house faster. That's what it sounds like when people are like, oh, you could go make friends. If you eat 2 cakes, you'll have 2 cakes and not 1 cake. It's like, but I can't eat 2 cakes. That's what it sounds like. But I think people have been trained to think more is better. More friends is better, more money is better, more cake is better. And I'm just trying to say, like, you know what's better than more? Enough. The right amount. Exactly perfect. Like Goldilocks and her porridge. And that's what I think philosophy is as a framework, is you're seeking balance, and it's a lifelong journey of seeking that balance.
I wasn't really tempted to be on my phone as much. The more time I spent with the people there, the more protests I went to, the more time I spent helping clean the building or whatever, the less it felt like I was on this desperate mission to change myself for the better so I could change the world for the better.
Ooh, here he is. He's saying the same thing.
The more protests I went to, the more time I spent helping clean the building or whatever, the less it felt like I was on this desperate mission to change myself for the better so I could change the world for the better. I became even more dedicated to activism while paradoxically being less stressed by activism. By month 6, I was at the ACA a lot, and I actually forgot that I was doing the no arguing experiment thing, and so I didn't really document how it was going for a minute. I mean, it was going so well that I wasn't just following my no arguing rules. I stopped even having to try to follow them. Now, back in 2019, I was actually on the board of directors of the ACA. Back then, people mostly showed up at the building to watch the Atheist Experience and other call-in debate shows. Given that was the main selective force driving the community culture often became centered around argument. Our sense of identity was tied to our ability to debunk and discredit opponents. The people who had the most respect in the community were those who could verbally lash theists the hardest. As you can imagine, a community centered on conflict where verbal aggression is often rewarded can develop problems. Clearly, since my time at the ACA, the culture had changed completely, but in 5 years, I guess that can happen. The most popular weekly event was no longer the call-in shows, it was Philosophy Night. Every Wednesday night, Ben and Ortina, the vice chair of the board, facilitated a group discussion on a philosophical question. The structure of the event inherently incentivized cooperation in conversation, even while embracing challenging questions. This was the new selective force driving the community, and it drew in people who enjoyed working together on challenging problems, and did not really care for conflict for its own sake. Month 8. So I guess I forgot I was documenting this for a while. I'm debate sober for like 8 months, I think it's been, and definitely not a challenge at all. I don't care if I get a shitty comment. No, I'm not gonna waste my time, acting like I can change somebody's mind with a reply. And also, how much of that was I doing to just protect my own ego?
Yeah, see, I think a level of this is humility too. You have to have the humility to know that you can't change minds in order to have the wisdom to give people the tools to change their own. Like, this is the core of my belief. I just think that humility has, not that I'm a humble person, but enough of humility has allowed me to realize no matter how much I debate bro my parents, they will always out debate bro me because they're not actually trying to learn. They're just trying to win. Trust me, my parents are the original debate bros. You cannot out debate my parents. And that's the point. I grew up with debate bro parents. Guys, I debated philosophy and religion with my parents since I was literally a child. Since I was prepubescent, I've been debating my own parents, and they would hold debate. If you're new to my channel, they would hold debate. Like, this online debate community existed in my parents' living room my whole life growing up. Literally, church leaders and church theologians and church debate bros would come to my parents' house for get-togethers, and they'd be like the Christians and the Muslims and the evangelicals and the Catholics, and they would debate each other. And then I was sitting there as a little kid eating it up. Nobody ever changed their mind. All those people 20, 40 years later, they're all still the same people. It was just a fun time together. And so it does take a level of humility to go, I'm not going to change your mind. But you, when you're ready, can change your own.
Oh, not to, prove that I'm right and therefore I'm smart or whatever, but, to reassure myself that I individually have the power to make change at all. Honestly, I think that was behind a lot of my reply behavior. And maybe I'm not as tempted to argue anymore because I'm just a little more secure, I think, about my ability to make change. I am involved with activism in real life more now than I think I ever have been. It gives me this kind of wonderful feeling of agency, I guess. At this point, I had figured out what I could do to help out at the ACA. Help keep Philosophy Night consistent and engaging, use my channel to promote their events, and sweep the floors. I mean that literally and figuratively. I do sweep the floors sometimes, but I've come to use that.
You just know too many people in that community, not this community, in the debate bro community, we think they're too good to sweep floors. They don't actually want to help you. They want to show up and be the guy that everyone came to see. And I'm saying we should all have the humility to pick up a broom and sweep the floor.
Phrase to refer to any action which seems small and mundane, but is nonetheless necessary. You're currently doing what we call sweeping the floors, even though you're not sweeping the floors.
Well, someone's got to, right? And this looks really good, yeah?
I mean, the gay is in the food.
No!
So I started facilitating Philosophy Night once a month. Ben taught me his facilitation.
I would so go to this. I would love a philosophy. I used to do a women's a book club for women. I used to go to one of those in Seattle, and that was fun. We'd go once a week and we'd read a book, and that was a lot of fun. And it was a gender inclusive women's group. So it was a women's feminist group, but it was gender inclusive. So it was a lot of fun, and I really liked doing that.
Method, which helps ensure everyone feels heard and that debate bros can't dominate the conversation. Obviously, debate bros do come to our events sometimes, but They don't usually come back. If you've been to one of our philosophy nights, I think you probably see what I'm talking about. I genuinely think that when you drop a debate bro into a culture where cooperative communication is regularly practiced.
Bro, is this not the Discord right now? Wait, is this not the Discord? Sometimes we get debate bros, and like the ones who stay or the ones who come back are really the ones who are craving great philosophical conversation, and they just got to unlearn the programming from the debate bro bubble. But when the debate bros join, they don't come back. But the ones who come back, I think they're yearning. They yearn for the discussion over the debate.
They get a little scared when a debate bro tries to shut someone down or parade around his wit here. People visibly recoil or just start shutting the guy out. Like, none of us are impressed by your ego defense, dude. Just go somewhere else, please. My wife Taylor started promoting ACA events too, and a lot of people started showing up from Taylor's channel. That definitely only added to the queer community center vibe in the best way possible, and we had so much fun meeting people at these things. Here are some of us at the Community Resource Fair for Equality Texas. That's not all our supplies or all our people, but this is what we took a picture of. And later, this is us at the Equality Texas Gala representing the ACA. We also celebrated the New Year at the ACA, but I guess this is the only picture I got from that, which is pretty cute.
Cute.
Months 9 and 10. So things are going well. Maybe a little too well. Taylor started putting on a religious studies night at the ACA where she hosts religious studies scholars. She does this once a month.
Now this is a third space, let me tell you.
We just had the second one ever, and it was so popular that we ran out of space in the building, like early, and people kept showing up and had
Look
to
at all those people.
stand. We'll see how many of the new people stick around, but if people do, we are going to outgrow this building. And Ben's been wanting to start a mutual aid and direct action arm of the ACA for a while, and that is about to launch. And with all of the new people that primarily Taylor is bringing in.
And I assume there's a standard of expectation. I think in order for these spaces to thrive, you have to have a strict but loving framework of expectation of behavior, because you don't want it to be overrun by the debate bros or by people with bad intentions, so I'm assuming they have to have like a strict, like, hey, here are the rules, you're welcome. And also, so I love that. And I like that it's queer inclusive and it looks like a safe space, and that all matters, and it sends signals to other communities, like what's expected of the space.
I think it's going to be well staffed, I guess, for lack of a better term. People here want to get out there and actually do something. And that's the whole point of me doing any of this stuff, right? I stopped arguing all the time so I could do something else to make change, and this is it. We're getting ready to do real life mutual aid projects now. Oh, and maybe it's worth mentioning that my videos are also doing really well without being about arguments. My last one is an educational kind of video about a CIA psyop in Latin America, and it's doing like crazy numbers for me. So yeah, I'm feeling really happy with the direction of things right now. Our Mutual Aid and Direct Action Network, the Atheist Vanguard, launched in early 2026, and one of its first projects was a little collab with Austin Mutual Aid. Why are you guys working with the ACA today?
Well, they have the manpower, and we are packing these kits, which are really, really important. Narcan is one of the best harm reduction assets, and so that's a large part of what AMA does.
Why the Atheist Vanguard? What are we doing? What's the point?
We are providing opportunities for atheists, non-believers, secular humanists, and anyone else that wants to join us to get involved, get out of their homes, get off the internet, and get out into the world and make a difference.
We were able to pack about 1,000 Narcan kits and establish a working relationship with another mutual aid network in the city. This is the change that I
don't mean to be that girl. I just want to say, I don't think it has to be a competition between online activism versus offline. Because there was a time where offline activism was not inclusive to people like me, and I needed to go online to find communities. Do you know what I'm saying? So just like, I think we should work in tandem. I think we all have something to offer. I think we're all good places. I think we forget a lot of people are isolated in their homes. So I just don't think it needs to be a competition between like who's a real activist and who's not. It's all about how you utilize it. That's what it is. Because in real life, communities also have their own scandals. You know what I mean? Like, we know this with all the sexual assault stories coming out. So what I really want to do is just say, like, regardless of how you do it, just make sure you're there for the right reason, and make sure that it's possible to build coalition and community with everybody.
Looking for months 11 and 12. Events ramped up even more at the ACA. More mutual aid networking at No Kings, more religious studies events, this time with enough seats and a live stream for people who couldn't attend in person. Philosophy night almost filling up the building on a regular basis. On top of this, planning for a big event in collaboration with the American Humanist Association. It was a lot of work, and Taylor and I were pretty exhausted sometimes, but we found that the work itself made us want to keep coming back. You would think that having...
Okay, I'm going to say this. Oh, I want to say this, but I don't know if this is good or bad. Oh, I'm going to say this, but it's an observation I made. I'm not saying it's right. I think it's right. Hold on. I think I'm right, but I think it's okay. So you know how earlier we talked about categories of people? So there's the cool kids, there's the not cool kids who are fighting the cool kids, and the cool kids are the A+ students who are volunteering their time on the weekends, but they're doing it because it looks cool, right? There's the rebellious kids who are also volunteering their time on the weekends to prove to the popular kids that they're cool too. But they're all losers. And then there's the actual group of people who are actually volunteering because they believe in the cause and they want to be there. Yeah? Okay. Hassan and his friends are the cool kids who were doing all the right things for the wrong reasons. I'm sorry. Destiny's group is the people who are canvassing. I mean, Destiny literally told me he just wants to do better than Hassan. Like, literally. Like, he's obsessed with overshadowing Hassan. Hassan's obsessed with Destiny. They're all obsessed with each other. Okay, Destiny's the cool kid of the losers, and Hassan's the cool kid of the popular kids. And they are fighting for who can do the most in this bubble because they're in competition. And then the real ones are over here actually volunteering, actually doing things in a very particular way, and they don't look conventionally pretty or conventionally popular or conventionally whatever, and they're queer and they're all these things, and they're things that the rest of like Hassan could never be because Hassan is like a cis straight white dude. Okay. And he hangs out with the pretty people. Fine. Okay. Destiny is again, they have atheists and they have queer people. Well, no, they have atheists and they gay people and trans people. They don't have like queer people. So like Destiny will be like, oh, they, thems are stupid. And then even though he used to identify as them, he's like, they're stupid. And then he's like, Israel has a right to defend itself. Okay. Right? What this clip from the podcast recently. Austin Show posted this on his TikTok. They're going to make a joke about Lebanon. I'm just going to, I don't know if I should say anything first or if you should just hear it. You should hear it first and then we'll talk about it. It might be hurtful. Okay. Okay, you'll see. This is Jen Marco, the comedian who's friends with all of them. So it's Will Neff, Austin, Hassan, and Jen Marco.
I'm Jewish. Are you? Yeah.
Wow.
Was that a joke?
No, I didn't know you were Jewish.
You're Italian.
Lebanese.
Lebanese?
Yes, Lebanese.
That's the thing, though. I think as a Jews, we both have schnozzes.
Yeah,
you know?
I got a big nose.
We're almost touching.
In LA, they come up to me all the time. They said, "Are you Jewish?" And I said, "I'm Lebanese." And
they do that to me too, though. Sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
And then how do they react? Did I go, "You'll be Jewish soon enough"?
No.
I'm Jewish.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll play it again, and you can see if you heard. I heard it the first time, but I don't know if you're going to hear it. Did you get it at the end, though?
Wow.
Was that a joke?
No, I didn't know you were Jewish.
You're Italian.
Lebanese.
Lebanese?
Yes, Lebanese.
That's the thing, though. I think as a Jews, we both have schnozzes.
Yeah,
you know?
I got a big nose.
We're almost touching.
In LA, they come up to me all the time. They said, "Are you Jewish?" And I said, "I'm Lebanese." And
they do that to me too, though. Sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
And then how do they react? Did I go, "You'll be Jewish soon enough"?
No.
So the comments were not happy. And I wasn't happy either. But this is what I mean when they say like popular kids are in it for the wrong reason. Because why is that joke funny? Do you guys get the joke? Because there's only one way I'm hearing that joke. And there's only one way the fucking audience heard the joke and they were not happy. Like the audience was very fucking upset. Israel is attacking Lebanon and taking its land in front of us. It is killing. It said that Lebanese mothers will weep for how many kids they're about to kill. Like Israel is targeting Lebanon. Like they are killing Lebanese people. And the joke at the end is, well, Austin's going to be Jewish soon enough because Israel is taking over. It's invading Lebanon. And I'm like, that's not funny, because that is what they're doing. Israel is trying to rewrite the map so everybody ends up becoming Israel. That's why they're calling it New Israel. And I'm like, oh, that's not funny. Like, and then that's what I'm saying about the cool kids and the popular kids sitting at a table together, saying they care about genocide, saying they care about these people. Then why the fuck are we making this joke? Like, that's not funny. And that's what I'm saying. I know they're comedian. I know Gianmarco's a comedian, but Hassan is sitting right next to him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the Greater Israel Project. It's ridiculous. Like, and so I saw that and I was like, what is this? And that's the problem, is like, Austin cuts it off right there, but the chat was like this. He highlighted this joke. Like, that's what the craziest part is. Austin clipped this section and posted it on his TikTok. And even his audience was like, what the fuck is this joke, Austin? Okay, so then let's look at for context. Hey, that last joke makes no sense. And then they said, no, it does. How? You cannot become just Jewish. And it says, it's a joke because Israel is invading Lebanon. It's not actually about converting. And it says, I don't know how I feel about the last joke. And they said, just laugh so we don't cry. Yeah, weird, didn't like it. Very insensitive, actually. And Austin says, oh, no. Okay. And then he says he's making fun of Israel. But though I believe in my heart that's what Gianmarco wanted. He wanted to make fun of Israel. I think, again, this goes back to the Vosh making fun of J.K. Rowling and calling her a trans woman, basically. Or whatever he said to... No, he called her a slur, I think. Whatever. It's the men trying to fight oppressors by throwing oppressed people under the bus. Do you know what I'm saying? That's the problem. Like, why are we the butt of your joke? Okay? So then it says, hey, insane last joke, gay and Lebanese. Okay, the joke was unhinged. Hassan mad he didn't bring the soundboard. Wow. It's a beautiful day when someone is more out of line than Austin on the podcast. The last joke. The last joke was insane. I don't get it. Israel is currently destroying parts of Lebanon militarily. It was a joke proving that anti-Zionism is just anti-Semitism. And then it's just like, what is this, bro? You know, and then disgusting, making fun of a country being invaded and its innocent civilians murdered and their homes destroyed. That's, you know what I'm saying? So even if he attempted to make the joke at the expense of Israel, it just came at the expense of the Lebanese. You know? Yeah, I just didn't like that joke. Okay, so just to hear it again, I'll skip halfway through.
I got a big nose.
We're almost touching.
In LA, they come up to me all the time. They said, "Are you Jewish?" And I said, "I'm Lebanese." And
they do that to me too, though. Sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
And then
how do they react? Did they go, "You'll be Jewish soon enough"?
No.
And then Austin gets it. Like, Austin gets the joke. It's like, okay, that's not funny. Anyways, so that's how I kind of see these communities, where it really feels like a battle between like the popular kids, the authentic kids, and, you know, all these other things, right? Chet said anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are two different things. Yes, they are very two different things. I was just reading a comment earlier. When I said that, I was reading comments. That's not my opinion. They are very different things. But this is why I say, like, I feel like there are real activists, then there are the popular kid activists, and then there are the grumpy, like, cynical debate bro, like, atheist activists, and I think they're all different, you know? Like, Destiny's gonna be Bill Maher one day. If he kind of is already, honestly. Hassan is gonna be Gavin Newsom, and I think these communities and my community, we're gonna be like Bell Hooks.
All of the material conveniences of sitting on your phone and arguing and trying to change the world there from the comfort of like your apartment would make that a more bearable and sustainable version of trying to change things. But in my experience, no, getting out there and getting uncomfortable, like being sweaty all the time because our AC unit isn't very good and we're in Texas.
Wait, Chet said he's laughing uncomfortably, I think, in saying no, but he clipped it and posted it on his TikTok, so he approves of the joke. You know what I mean? He could have clipped any other section, either his editor or him. He clipped it. So it doesn't matter if he's uncomfortable. It doesn't matter if he's saying no. He clipped it. I wouldn't have seen it if Austin didn't highlight it on his TikTok. That's what I'm saying. It's Austin's show highlighting it on his TikTok, which means it's an approval, whether we like it or not. And that's what I'm saying.
Being crammed in a room with 30 people in a room that really should only have 15 at the most. There being interpersonal conflict because human beings are human beings, and that's just how it is. Getting sunburned all the time, all those types of things. I feel like I'm
See how he said there will be interpersonal problems because people are people? Absolutely.
Doing more. I feel more edified in doing what I'm doing now. And it's not that I have to, at this point, I like wake up every day and choose to do this. It's more like my life this is my life. This is what I do. It's not so much a choice individually if I'm going to switch on the phone or go to the ACA. It's more like I go to the ACA. This is where my friends are. This is where my life is. This is where I create meaning. And so I'm inherently just driven to do this. And it feels much more sustainable than being comfortable in my living room.
Yeah.
It seems like a paradox to me.
I think it is, but it's so true. And it's something I'm actually trying to theorize right now in language that is hopefully accessible for people. But I think the basic thing is comfort is a very bad place for happiness, which is interesting because people might associate them with each other. But certainly I could give you a bunch of empirical data, but I think we could also think about this from sometimes it's more helpful to think about this in a theory or philosophy way, right? What is freedom? Right now we live in a society that tells us that freedom is freedom from any government interference, freedom from, anyone else's desires or inconveniences. If you look at, in particular, what people who get money do, they almost always end up buying stuff to get them away from other people. And then they don't have to take public transit anymore, and they don't have to be in public spaces with other people, and they don't have to sweat with anyone in the same, under AC unit, and there's minimal inconvenience. All of our technology goes this way. We're very good at imagining, due to our negativity bias, what could go wrong in a situation, and therefore we tend to think about all possible inconveniences and points of friction and really worry about them. And we're very bad at imagining the benefits of some of these things. Like, the most basic metaphor I can give you is going running. Every day I think about going running. I think about all the things that might be bad about it. Obviously the physical exertion, and then it might rain. I might be slower than last time I went running, blah, blah, blah. We can think about all the things that go wrong. Every time I go running, I'm really happy I did it afterward. This is a fundamental problem with the human brain. We're just really bad at...
Ugh, I hate this so much. She's so fucking right. Did you guys notice I'm high energy today? Do you see it? Am I hiding it well or no? Was I really high energy this stream? I pushed myself really hard today, and it gave me a lot of energy, but I also know I'm going to crash so hard later. But I really did a lot today. I woke up super early. Okay. I recorded a video for members. I went outside to the post office and sent postcards to family and friends. We went to the store. I came home. I started stream. And I feel so energetic, but I just know I'm going to pay for it tomorrow. But my mood is elevated. If I wasn't physically disabled, again, I really think my physical disability is really fucking me up. But if I wasn't physically disabled, this is I'm used to doing 20 things in a day. I was telling my partner the other day, the hardest part about being disabled is I used to be able to do 20 things a day and feel great. And now I can't do it, and it's very annoying. And it's only been the last 4 years I've been disabled from fibromyalgia, physically disabled, that I've been very frustrated because this body is just it can't do it. So I felt so good today, but I just know I'm going to fucking hate myself tomorrow. It might be okay. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I need to work again tomorrow because it's still a work day for me. And then we'll see how that goes. But it should be okay. But I might have to sleep in a little bit to kind of get those spoons back. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But that's the thing. It's she's right. Even in philosophy, I'm always trying to get better. But I want to challenge the word comfort and agree with her that comfortable isn't where we grow. But I would say spiritually content is where we remain balanced. So I am content. My life is perfect. Right? Well, let me rephrase. My relationship with my life is perfect, good, fantastic, content, joyful. I am not without challenge because I also exist in a relationship to everything outside of myself, and there is a lot of challenge. So my life is good. The world I'm in, there's a conflict. My marriage is good. The world is hard. So I am not without a challenge because I choose to engage with the world. And this allows me to grow as a person. This is why we on this channel, this is why I show you real people's lives, to have conversations, to learn about ourselves, because this is a challenge to me, challenging ourselves with other people's perspectives, not in the debate bro way, in the let's observe and see how people are living way. Let's see how people are suffering unwisely way. Let's see if we can, you know, make things better for people way, you know? And so there's just something about that I think is so real with what she's saying right now. Maybe it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Chatter, about like having community and fulfillment. It's all connected. And also notice that Drew said he only started volunteering once a week. So if you have like the all but nothing neurodivergency where you're like, I got to either volunteer 5 days a week or I can't do it. He started with 1 day a week. Maybe only for 2 hours a week, you know? So think about it like that, you know? And then Chet says, do you have burnout from autism? I do have burnout from autism, but it is separate than the physical pain I feel in my body. Reminder that my fibromyalgia does make me feel like my bones are broken all the time. And my hips get displaced. And I probably have, I think I have hypermobility. So like my body is often not aligned and I have to like put things back in place. And so I'm dealing with a lot of physical pain. And that makes it a lot harder than even the autistic burnout. Like disability as associated with autism is a different experience. Remember to deconstruct all these things, guys. At least for me, it helps to know what is my autism, what is my fibro, what is this, what is a lack of sleep, what is a lack of water, because they're just like different things need different care, you know?
Actually feeling like a thing that will actually be great for us at every level is going to be fun. And we have this bias with social life, for example, because it's deeply inconvenient and stressful and risky in some ways. And it almost always makes people much happier than they think they will be, by the way, when you look at the data on this. So I think what you're describing is the finding that in reality, what makes people happy is very rarely what they think it is going to make them happy, you know? And that often the exact things that make us the most happy are the things that are inconvenient and annoying. And this is maybe partially a sort of naturalistic-ish biological thing, but I also think it's very much worth looking at capitalism as a system in the way that it, you know, even you named imperialism, certainly that's connected here, but even more basically, if you want to sell people commodities, the most important thing you can tell them is that the commodities are going to make them happy. But commodities primarily, at best, buy us convenience. Right. You know, it's very rare you get a commodity sold to you that's like, hey, this is going to be a real struggle for a while, and then you're going to get into it, and then you're going to find the most meaningful relationship of your life. And then you're going to struggle some more.
Yesterday, I got off stream, and my mother and father-in-law had come over, and they had gotten us groceries from the farmer's market. I ended stream yesterday. I looked at my partner, and I said, I'm going to make some vegan dolma. And he went, the fuck? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, really? And I was like, watch me. And I made the most delicious disitha of vegan dolma. And now I get to eat it for the next 2 days. And I'm so happy with myself because my in-laws brought me green cabbage and zucchini and peppers and all this stuff. And I was like, locking in, got it. And it was labor that I love to do. This is like, I just love cooking. And I love recipes, and I was thinking about my mom, and I was thinking about my family, and I just like zenned out and cooked this pot of dolma. And it was just like a beautiful experience. And then we ate dinner together, and that was a beautiful experience. And, you know, we just kind of, you know, it was great, but I didn't plan it. I just kind of like had the inspiration of like, yeah, I'm going to make this. And I saw this Instagram post that was like, I'm going to save money by making food at home. But then it took all day and now it's nighttime and my whole day is gone, but I made food. And I think that's true for a lot of people. And I don't think you're wrong for that. I think it can take all day. I also think that for me, because I have, for me, cooking and having alone time is a form of meditation. It can be, often is a form of slowing down for me. So for me, it's like a blessing that I can do that. So another way to think about it like that is to find the things in your life that help you slow down. Like you don't always have to touch grass. Like to me, when I hear touch grass, I don't actually think like go outside. I think ground yourself. I think like go back to your roots, go back to your home, put your feet in the ground and you touch it. You know what I mean? That's what I think of like touch grass. So when I'm cooking, it's like touching grass, as long as I'm not recording it for members, which sometimes I do. And in that case, I'm not touching grass, I'm working. But when I'm alone and there's no one watching me and I can cook at my own pace and it's very ratatouille, you know?
You're going to have to listen to some really annoying people in meetings forever. And occasionally you're going to get arrested, and you might also, have to eat some like fairly shit food that the organizers provided, but you're going to find that your sense of self is here. That's not how commodities are sold to us. So we have a very hard time imagining that the good life is a thing that involves truly struggle. And I have to say, I think the right have cottoned onto this a little bit, and they've managed to sell a basic bitch version of this. Sorry to say that, but hopefully your YouTube channel can handle it. But they managed to sell like the struggle is good actually, but they sell it as somewhere between like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson, right? And they say like, yeah, you want some struggle? You're gonna get loads out of this. But their image of the struggle is basically
Wait. There was a Jordan Peterson 12 Rules for Life in the post office today. I was like, I can't get away from this man. I can't escape him.
Saying edgy shit on the internet and lifting weights. And we need to have our version of that, but that version is about enduring the difficulty and the reward of other human beings in order to fight against power.
I feel like what I was doing before quitting arguing was just engaging in the commodification of my own brain in a way. I was like tilling the digital fields on these platforms by turning myself into a consumable product for other people.
Yeah.
Something that generates, a use case for other people on this platform. And I wasn't really getting much benefit out of it. Certainly the world was not getting anything out of it. And now, being in real life, doing what I'm doing, I feel like the aim in a lot of ways is to carve out an enclave where I'm living separate from the logic of capital. And that inherently means being enmeshed in this kind of web of interpersonal connections that makes it to where I'm not, trading my time for some kind of immediately tangible reward. I am, again, rather paradoxically, getting involved and giving of myself and finding that somehow it almost feels like magically actually getting more in return without thinking about specifically what the ROI is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. Partially, I was reading a lovely piece by my friend Elizabeth Oldfield, and your crowd might not vibe with her because she's a Christian, but I'm going to use her as an example anyway, because she's one of the people I know in London who lives in a commune. But, she says there are these sacrifices to be in this commune. Like there are moments of deep inconvenience when I help my commune mates, and now one of them's had a baby and the baby lives in my house. Like, I don't know, I love babies, but come on, they're inconvenient, right? And she said, I thought that when the baby came, even now after all this, like choosing to live together, of course, I thought the benefits of communal living would be when I was served by other people. And then the baby's here and I'm realizing the benefit is that I get to serve this baby, and I'm saying, and Liz is saying this as a person who's thought very deeply about this stuff for a long time, who has a set of commitments, obviously, that are about serving other people. And still this realization, I think, is hard for even the smartest and most committed people until they live it out, including myself. I mean, I'm in no way counting myself out of this. I just think she's one step ahead of me in this particular, writing it out. Yeah, the benefit is actually what we give to other people, not what we get for ourselves so much of the time. And one of the ways I've noticed this, by the way, is that
I want to hear that again.
Including myself. I mean, I'm in no way counting myself out of this. I just think she's one step ahead of me in this particular, writing it out. Yeah, the benefit is actually what we give to other people, not what we get for ourselves so much of the time. And one of the ways I've noticed this, by the way, is that I noticed that actually people are really desperately in need of a sense of meaning and purpose. And I particularly notice this when I go to recruit people into my even quite, service-based organizations. If I go to them and say, hey, you should join mutual aid, people will come and help you when you need something in your neighborhood, people don't want to hear that because we live in such an individualist culture that they say, I'm fine, I don't need food delivered to me, I don't need cheaper vegetables, I'll figure it out myself. I don't need people to come help me when I'm sick, I'm good. Because that's what our culture currently values and supports and sees as adult and whatever, right? However, so in order to recruit people, I have to go to people and say, hey, I need you. I would really love it if you would help because we need you, we need your skills. And I'm not lying, I do need their skills, I do need them. But it's also one of the only sources of meaning for people, and it's increasingly rare. I mean, I could go on and on here. I could tell you all about how work doesn't give people the sense of meaning anymore, how without a community you never really get this opportunity to serve other people. But yeah, even at the most basic level, the opportunity to be actually of service and useful for other people is harder and harder to find.
I think Christianity and Islam and all these religions have a strong tenet of giving of yourself, like a servant of the Lord, public servant, serving the people, giving to others. Saints are often depicted as people who volunteer their time and give to others. Again, the dilemma is ego association, making sure you're doing it for the right reasons, making sure that it's not just so you have a cool story to tell people later. When I was really young, when I was 21, I met a couple of girls actually, who they volunteered for the Peace Corps. And at the time I thought, oh my God, that sounds so cool. And what I really liked about their stories were their stories. When I was young, all I heard was, oh, I'm going to have some cool stories to tell, and that would be an adventure for me. Because the way they told the stories was I got to experience this very cool thing. It wasn't I don't even know what they did over there. I don't even know what they did with the Peace Corps. I just know that they had really cool stories, And I even when I was thinking about going vegan all those years ago, I was like, ooh, vegan sounds cool. But cool has a time limit. You can't be cool forever, you know? And so I needed to learn what was meaningful to me, what was fulfilling. You know, Vervaeke talks about the meaning crisis. Well, here it is. I do think she's right that you have to reword it with I need you because people are willing to help. And also we need to acknowledge that individualistically speaking, a lot of us are deconstructing from families who also weaponize this language against us. So we could never have our own lives and we would always be a service to the family. So just a reminder of kindness, that people aren't necessarily selfish as they are unlearning the behavior of being taken advantage of by family members that raise you to always, quote, be there for the community and call you selfish when you try to live your life out as a gay person. So again, you know, there's a lot here that needs to be deconstructed and considered when engaging with people, but I don't fault people from being concerned that they're not being taken advantage of, when I think a lot of people do take advantage of people, even in community efforts, like even in non-traditional cultures where it's community-based, like there is going to be a point where that community also takes advantage of you. I mean, wasn't that the whole excuse my family made for child brides? We have to do it for the community. For the sake of the community, we have to do it. Isn't that what we hear all over the world all the time? Women have to marry young and have babies. It's for the sake of the community. Okay, sure. So be very careful about the community you belong to. You know, be very careful about that.
I got involved with the atheist community of Austin again after a lapse several years away because I, after reading your book was like, yeah, I want to use Sarah's ideas and act out on Sarah's ideas to make a change, to serve other people, to serve that community. It wasn't about I need something. And what I found is, yeah, sure, while I feel like I've been able to help, at this point, I want to continue. It's hard to imagine not being involved now because of what it provides also for me, which is not something that I expected at all. Fittingly, on the 1-year anniversary of my no arguing experiment, the atheist community of Austin did its big project with the support of the American Humanist Association. We hosted a community resource fair with Food Not Bombs, Austin Mutual Aid, the Trans Resistance Project, Texas Works, Kind Clinic, and more. Violet Crown Medics hosted free protest safety and basic medic training classes in our building. They were well attended. And of course, we had to have a drag show by our resident goddess, Maxine LaQueen. We could have spent all our time arguing on camera from the comfort of our own homes that people deserve food, shelter, education, and social support. And we would have been right in our arguments, of course. But we asked ourselves at some point, what's more important? Us being correct in front of an audience? Or actually at some point providing for people's needs? And look, it's not wrong to argue for human rights on the internet. People at the ACA do that all the time. It's just not what actually protects or provides for anyone. Only real-life organizing efforts actually do that. And yeah, the work of building and connecting small mutual aid networks is still a pretty small step toward providing for people's needs long-term. But it is a step, which is more than I can say for any piece of rhetoric that I have ever posted on the internet. Month 13, post-experiment.
I really appreciate his use of I there. Though it was simple, it's quite profound to me that he didn't use this as an opportunity to talk about other creators and what they were doing. He's calling himself out. This is, for me, a real reflection in the mirror. Here's what I've done. Again, to compare him to Hasan Piker, who couldn't look in a mirror except to check his eyebrows. Okay. Hasan Piker was asked in an interview recently, what is something that it's like a shortcoming. What is something that you are struggling with? And he said his misogyny. And he said that's something I can work on, and then did absolutely nothing to work on it because he says he has to do it to appeal to the men he's trying to convert over. Do we see the fundamental difference here? And again, I will compare creators because I think this is exactly the real life example I'm trying to give you of like, this is good. I believe this is good. Assuming this is authentic and all real, which I think it is, this is good, right? I just think this is why I look at other people and I'm like, aren't you supposed to be like the biggest guy with the microphone? Why are you engaging in so much misogyny? Okay. Like, what is that? And then here's this guy volunteering, doing his thing, doing stuff. Now, the only thing I will say is I cannot figure out exactly. Well, I can't figure it out. Never mind. I know. Either way, okay.
After not arguing on the internet on purpose for like a year, I'm not used to doing this anymore. I decided, you know what, it's because I'm working on this video, I'm gonna try it out and see what it's like for me now as compared to what it was like before I stopped doing this habitually. Oh my God, I didn't intend to. I meant to do this for like 5 to 10 minutes. I just got sucked down the rabbit hole and spent 2 hours arguing about something obviously like I care about, but knowing that I wasn't gonna change anybody's mind.
Wait, what? Was that a scene shift?
Before I stopped doing this habitually. Oh my God.
Wait.
Anymore. I decided, you know what, it's because I'm working on this video, I'm gonna try it out and see what it's like for me now as
he's
compared
telling
to
a
what it was
story.
like
Sorry,
before
I lost
I
it.
stopped doing this habitually. Oh my God. I didn't intend to. I meant to do this for like 5 to 10 minutes. I just got sucked down the rabbit hole and spent 2 hours arguing about something obviously like I care about, but knowing that I wasn't gonna change anybody's mind. I was miserable the whole time and yet compelled to keep going. I could not get myself to stop. And now even though I'm recording this, I don't want to be recording this video. I want to go back in and argue. I feel like shit, like physically right now from this. I feel like I just relapsed on drugs or something. Like I'm sweating, I have a headache, I'm sleepy. I feel like I'm on the verge of like panic right now.
Yeah.
And yet I want to go back and do it again. This shit is like a drug.
It's like potato chips. It's potato chips. Girl, I love a potato chip. I love a potato chip so much. And every time I eat a potato chip, I regret it. And I'm like, Brittany, why'd you just eat those potato chips? You know it hurts your tummy. You know it makes you feel bad. You know it enacts your fibro. You know you hate it. And then 2 weeks goes by and I'm like, potato chips. And then I eat more potato chips. I'm like, Brittany, why did you eat this potato chip? Anyways, I had potato chips for my snack earlier. Anyways, I'll take 2 weeks off after I finish this bag again. But I have to forget how bad they hurt, and then I have to get them again. But that's how I feel with my comment sections, where sometimes my partner always knows when I'm replying to my comment section because I'm like this. And he's like, Brittany, and I'm like, what? And then he's just like talking, and I'm like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. This person is pissing me off. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And he's just like, he'll wait, and I'll look at him. I'm like, what? And then it's just like, he's like, are you replying to a message? And I'm like, listen. I get it. It's really bad. Like, I can't hear anything, bro. I'm locked the fuck in. Sometimes I do this. Sometimes, guys, I'm not even kidding you. Sometimes I will write the longest message in the world. I will be like, hold on, wait, I'm almost done. I will write like 4 paragraphs, and then I do this. I go, and I delete the message and I never send it. And I go, I just needed to write it out. And then I put down the phone. I'm like, okay, what? I get him so much. I really get it. I do. Just so you know, I've written, even today, I think I've written at least 4 to 5 messages I never sent. And it felt good. But just, you know, anyways, they're not even in the drafts. They're fully deleted. But I wrote them out.
Man. And having this perspective, being away from it for so long, I mean, just a year, and getting back into it for accidentally 2 hours, like, oh my God. Yeah, I'm not going back to how it was before. I had to do that for the video, but I am not doing that again. So at the end of a year of no arguing, what were my results? Lower stress, a different theory of change, much more time spent in the real world instead of online, more friends than I've had since college, maybe more friends than I've ever had in my life. A better sense of security in myself, much greater hope for the future, a greater sense of meaning in my life, and a lot more preparedness for when things inevitably do get even more fascistic here in Texas. Now, I'm going to end this with 2 suggestions beyond just spending less time arguing online. 1, find a local politically and ethically conscious community to get involved with. I know I've said it before, and I think this video shows why community is so important. Links to some worthwhile organizations with local chapters down in the description. And 2, the atheist community of Austin has explosively and definitely outgrown its building, and we don't expect that growth to slow.
My first event at the ACA was game night, and there was only 4 people there last time. It's changed quite a bit.
A lot of queer people especially are finding refuge here, and we don't ever want to turn anyone away for lack of space. If you'd like to help us stay funded, donate at the link in the description. No one's putting me up to this. Nobody at the ACA even knows I'm going to give like a donate plug at the end of this video or anything. If you're in the position to give us a grant or anything substantial that would help us fund in addition to the building, which is definitely a goal, contact our fundraising chair. Her details are also in the description. With that, thank you for watching. I've been Drew of Genetically Modified Skeptic. A special thanks to my patrons for their constant love and support, and praise be unto Our Lady, River, my top patron and the official savior of this.
Okay, relax. I'm gonna go to this. I wanted to see his comments. This is a great video. I really love this. YouTube Atheist becomes community organizer is the best fucking arc. Let me see. I'm so here for it. A few more realizations in the sky, and you guys will finally be free. I don't know what that means, but okay. Debates only work with honest interlocutors. Okay, let's see. I'm an English professor, and this is horrible anti-intellectual culture, and I feel like I'm screaming into the void sometimes. But this video brought me to tears because it reminded me of how I'm in a privileged position to touch so many lives and measurably make people more engaged and educated citizens. Thank you for injecting me with a little more boost to keep trying, keep engaging, and keep connecting. Love that. Dude, you are the second creator I've seen today make this connection. That creating rhetoric is not activism. I'm so proud of you all. The last time I was this early, we're in different endless. Okay, I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna read that. That's insensitive. Let's see. I think a good summary for this video is the actions speak louder than words. Let's see. Oh, Michael Burns in the chat. Not my chat, his chat. The title alone has made me so excited to watch this one. Shout out Michael Burns. Yeah, Michael's been trying to do stuff too, and that he even interviewed J-Reg about it. But I will say again, I don't want to, sometimes I do feel like people romanticize the in real life stuff, but I want you to understand this. And I don't want to be a party pooper. I just want to be realistic. Just like Drew said in the video. And I will tell you this right now, as somebody who's volunteered and worked in a lot of physical spaces, you might actually run into your rapist there. You might meet somebody there that takes advantage of you. Somebody might scam you. Somebody might kill you. It's still worth it to build community, even though, but I don't want you to feel like this space is so safe, I can guarantee only good people show up. The truth is, whether we like it or not, in every community we are in, there are going to be bad and harmful people. And I think one of the illusions I had as a younger person is that if I found a liberal or leftist enough community, that I would be safe. And the thing I learned is there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a perfectly safe community. There's only good organizers, good leaders, good foundations, and good frameworks that keep people safe. Okay? So make sure you just think about these things as you go into group activities. Don't be afraid, so don't be so fearful you don't leave your house. But don't be so naive that you think that because these people are anti-fascist, they don't also have problems. Okay? Right? And that's what I want you guys to remember, okay? And that's why no matter how many times I've run into issues with people, I will always attempt to build community. I will always attempt to make friends with people or whatever else because I think it's worth it, right? Let's see, some questions and comments. Discord said, what's the difference between Debate Bros? I don't know anything about the others, but his wife seems like proof of his sincerity. Oh yeah, wait, you just reminded me. He has a wife. Guys, what's his wife's name? Somebody in chat kept mentioning it. Can you mention it again? So I want to look at her channel. I want to check it out. I watch Drew on occasion. I'm not like I watch every video kind of person, but I do watch Drew enough. I didn't realize he was married though. I'm not locked in like that. Can you guys tell me her name again so I can look her up? Oh wait, is it Taylor the Anti-Bot? Is that what it is? The Anti-Bot? Let me look this up. Who is this? Wait, why does she look so familiar? Have I watched her content? This is his wife? Huh. Okay, we'll subscribe. Why not? Anti-Bot. Okay, let me link his channel too, actually. Hold on, let me link his channel.
Do you ever feel like the world...
Let me get this to you guys. And then, hold on, I saw something. Great, let's be real. Do you think Genetic Modified Skeptic will be as big as Hassan? No, and I don't even think he wants to be honest. I think you cannot be ethical and be Hassan Piker. I just refuse to engage in a reality where that's true. But like, I don't think you can be, let me rephrase. I don't think you can be, I do not think you can seek philosophical deconstruction and be Hassan Piker. Because Hassan Piker's literal platform is only possible because he doesn't work on himself. Like, most of these men find success because they're not introspecting. Like Drew in this whole video, his introspection led him away from the very job and the very way that he was doing it that made him known in the space. Like, this is what I'm saying. The more you introspect, the less you can do the work you were doing before, because you change as a person. So Hassan can't be Hassan if he changes. And the risk of changing would be losing everything he built in the way that he built it. And that's really scary. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think it's possible, but I don't think it needs to be, because here's the difference between Hassan and Drew. Drew doesn't need himself to be the main character. He needs the community to be uplifted. Hassan needs to be the main character. Again, the pyramids work like this. Let me show you. So in Drew's bubble, okay, and in Hassan's bubble, okay, so in Drew's bubble, it's a horrible D, okay, the pyramid is like this. In Hassan's bubble, the pyramid is like this. So Hassan ends up the foundation of the movement. So if Hassan goes, the movement crumbles. With Drew, though, the people are the foundation. So if Drew disappears, the pyramid stays. And this is what I mean by ethics. This is what I mean by for the greater good and for other people. And so this is why I'm saying, like, you should not want to be Hassan Piker. He is a red flag. You do not want to be this. You do not want to be this. You want to be somebody who can disappear and the movement stays strong. Because if the movement collapses because we lost one guy, what the fuck was the movement? You know, what good was that movement? Is the movement supposed to be a people? When I hear movement, I hear people. I don't think one person. So when people say this one person is moving more people left, that is discounting the millions of people who do work in their communities every day. The millions of people like Drew who do work in their communities every day. And that's the problem. You know? So yeah, that's how I think about that. And I'm not saying Hassan, by the way, it's not that I don't want to see Hassan get better. I do. I want to see him become introspective and do the work and grow and become a great person. And I would love to rally behind him. The way I got so excited for Drew just now, I would love to get that excited for Hassan. I just can't right now. Not with where he's at. You know? It wouldn't make sense. Chet says, I'm just saying that as a recognition from the past, you said the bar is in hell. It is in hell. And also, to be fair, Hassan is working with the establishment, right? Like, the establishment throws gay and trans people under the bus at every convenience. The Democrats are willing to, Hassan is willing to do this for the greater good, right? And here's Drew actively working with gay people, actively working with drag queens, actively working with the queer community, highlighting them 1,000 times in this video. But I think Hassan's group would call this identity politics. You know? And I think that's the problem. I think the problem is you're forgetting that coalitions are built from people who are marginalized. I mean, at one time, and maybe even now, atheists were the marginalized. I mean, they are marginalized in a Christian fascistic world. Like, atheists will be marginalized. And that's why Richard Dawkins says he's culturally Christian. He says he's culturally Christian. So when the Christians start killing us, they don't kill him. Sam Harris and all these men are anti-Islam. So when the Christians come to kill everybody, they don't kill them. Because the enemy of the enemy is my friend. And that's like the biggest problem of these communities, you know? Chad says Richard Dawkins says that because he's racist. Yeah, right? He is racist. Like, that's the thing. So is Sam Harris and all these people. They're Islamophobic. They're racist. They think brown people are scary. And the atheist community was always primarily white. It wasn't like the atheist community didn't have a primary group of white people. This is why I love watching Black deconstructionists who are moving away from Christianity. That's my favorite, guys. If you want to watch fun TikToks, if you want to watch Black people deconstruct from Christianity, it's very interesting. Some of them do sort of have the same atheist energy as like the typical atheists, but we've been so used to the biggest names in atheism being white men it would be cool to see more Black individuals be represented. Though I will say the men tend to be more like atheist debate bros than the women. The women seem to deconstruct in the direction of community. But there are some really great creators of every gender that I've seen on TikTok. So if, I wish I knew their names off the top of my head, but I don't. I really should. I've never been that girly, but either way, there you go. Yeah, Chet said I live in the Bible, the buckle of the Bible Belt. So for my own safety, I don't overly advertise. I'm atheist agnostic. Yeah. Oh, and thank you, Chet, for sharing some suggestions. That's great. Okay, guys, with that said, that's what I want to leave you with today. I just, as we move out of the last couple weeks of streams, they have been really heavy. I just want to ground you and remind you that there's also so much you can do. And it starts with really having the best relationship with yourself you can have so you can give to your community. I promise you, working on yourself isn't selfish as long as you're not coping. Like you're not self-caring your way to Sephora and spending $1,000. You're actually meditating and learning who you are, looking in the mirror and saying like, is this my purpose? Is this who I want to be? And it's so exciting to see, gosh, nothing makes me so excited than to watch somebody discover who they are and learn more about themselves. And I think that's why I just love this video from Drew. Like nothing makes me happier. It really does. And like for Harriet just came back and she's on her own journey, and like watching her come back and say like, oh, I had to get off the internet for a while and I had to reground myself. Amen. All of us need to do this. All of us need to reground ourselves. You know what I mean? I'm in that cycle too. I don't know if something's happening. Are my tarot girls, astrology girls, hello, is something in the air? Because even I, in my own personal life, I've been really working on not talking to people in the comments as much and making sure to move people in a better direction and making sure to only respond and making sure just to block people who don't sound good faith, because I will, and it has been better. It has been better. So just some food for thought. Okay, with that said, and I just want to say that even though I'm on the internet and Drew's on the internet, our life mimics yours. So even if you're not a content creator, whose comments are you replying to in your own life? Whose mom's text message, brother's, attempt to make you upset? Whose rage bait are you replying to? Which coworker is pissing you off and you want to, you know what I'm saying? Like you might not be on the internet like us, but you're engaging in some philosophical evil, and all you have to do is be a little less bad every day. And that is a lifelong journey. So, that's why we learn balance, because it's always constant, but there is a way to be joyful while you're doing it, Okay. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. Oh, one last question. Is there a difference between Patreon content and YouTube paywall? Yes. YouTube has members videos, tier 2. I have Blue Therapy coming out. I'll get that done hopefully tonight and get that up for you, episode 2. Members, streams for all members on Mondays. Patreon is just for the Discord. There's no extra content on Patreon. Because my Patreon is 18 plus, because I don't want children on my Discord, I get penalized and I can't post content there. I don't get it. I've emailed Patreon 1,000 times. They just said that's how they do it. I just don't want kids on my Discord. See what I'm talking about, ethics? I don't want kids on my Discord, and the penalty is that I can't have a Discord. I can't have a Patreon that is an 18 plus. It just doesn't make any sense. So if you're a patron, you don't get extra content. You get weekly Saturday events on the Discord, which tomorrow we have yoga and we're deconstructing Korra season 2. And you get events every Saturday unless there's like some reason not to. I'm taking off 4th of July, not to celebrate 4th of July. I just need a day off and I figure people will be busy. So we're just not doing it that day. But otherwise we do events every Saturday on the Discord, and we have a bunch of chat rooms and we all hang out and it's a lot of fun. Key with a membership of 36 months is 3 years. Time goes by when you're deconstructing everything, including time. Amen. Amen. All right, girls. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Stay safe and take care of yourselves and stay cool if you're in the places that are really hot right now. Do you see the sweat on my face? We're in a heat warning in Europe. Stay safe. All right. See you guys Monday. Bye-bye.